Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the city of Portland, Oregon for Night of the Wyrm, Chapter 3. In this game, we combine Werewolf the Apocalypse and Vampire the Masquerade, and in this chapter, we are featuring wonderful characters. Roz, or Dia, would you mind introducing yourself first?
Hey guys, I'm Dia, also known as Dia.cos on all social media. I play Rosiel, who is the leading lady of the rock band known as Delirium. She's a toreador.
And who do you want to introduce themselves next?
I will popcorn over to KJ next.
Hi guys, I'm KJ. I play Flynn, who is our Malkavian sleep-deprived writer, journalist, who's doing their best. We'll throw it to our guest for today.
That's me, right?
Yes, that is you.
Okay. Hi, my name is Sarah Babe, and I'm going to be playing Svetlana Wilkotok. She's a driver. She likes to make sure everybody wears their seatbelt because safety first. I may be able to survive a crash, but you sure hell can't. Oh, and let's give it over to James.
All right, so I'm James, and I'm playing Ben tonight, our local pack leader and wolf of the evening, because he really doesn't like to be in human form. And we'll pop it over to the one that likes to sniff me, Cassandra.
Hi, I am Classic Sam NYGM, and I play Cassandra, your local Malkavian oracle that may or may not be the real Cassandra. And last but not least is our amazing Aluka.
Greetings and salutations. I am Tarzan. You can find me under the handle of Daddy Tarzan 82855 on all social media platforms. I'm one of the cast members of 2B Dice Adventures, and I will be playing Luca Antonio Powell, aka the Ravager.
And I, of course, am Sam, known on the webs as Dungeon Samster, and this evening I will be your storyteller. Before we get started, two quick things. We wanted to let you know about some pretty cool stuff that we're affiliated with that you can find. Greater details will be able to be found in the stream chat. Now, however, if you're looking for some new polyhedral dice sets, look no further than CanadaDice.com. Or .ca probably. Does that sound right to you, James? Yeah, CanadaDice.com.ca. They have literal all types of acrylic, resin, and other dice in a variety of shapes, sizes, colors, what have you. Great source of dice to pick up your next set. Similarly speaking, if you're a big fan of what we do here at Tabletop Misfits, you can also go to dungeongrandmaster.com and find a Tabletop Misfits t-shirt, as well as one of our primary affiliates, Beaker, for his show Beaker Builds, featured on Thursday nights. And we are also working closely with Renegade Game Studios. There's a link also being dropped now in the stream chat, so that if you were to peruse the offerings through Renegade Game Studios, who at the time of this stream is still running their Month of Darkness promotion, you can not only pick up some of those great offerings, but in doing so, using that link, you'll be helping out Tabletop Misfits directly. And I'm embarrassed to say, am I missing any sponsors, James?
You are missing our normal sound sponsor, Monument Studios.
Crap. Go ahead.
So Monument Studios is our sound sponsor for any channel or any of the shows that we're running here at Tabletop Misfits. And by using Misfit 15, you can get either 30% off or 3 months free for your first for your subscription. So, and I might have flipped that one. So just Misfit for that one. Misfit 15 is for Canadian dice.
The good news is the correct information can be found in the chat now. And one last detail before we get started into this evening's chapter. We wanted to remind you that in the world of darkness, bad things tend to happen. Although all the players presented in front of you are awesome people who have really loved getting to know throughout this process, we want to let you know that bad things may happen to their characters, and their characters may in fact do bad things. So please be advised of the sensitive nature of some of the content we might be presenting this evening. Without further ado, welcome back to the World of Darkness. and welcome back. In Chapter 2 of Night of the Wyrm, which was titled Split the Tea Party, our cohort of monsters met at Dr. Tamsin Newman's home over near the Forest Park area of Portland, Oregon, to discuss what they might need to, look into to be able to take on this supernatural threat that has brought its attention to both the werewolf and vampire community of the greater metropolitan Portland area. Some other characters moved here and there, both south, north, east, west of the city of Portland, but the individuals who were present at Dr. Tamsin's tea party were going to go follow up on a lead down in the city of Salem, Oregon, about 40 minutes to the south, after splitting apart and gathering a couple of resources and checking in on some friends. We had Luca, the werewolf, and Raziel, the vampire, traveling over to the Portland airport region to meet up with one of Luca's black market contacts, picking up some munitions for their next adventure. We had Nemo, the guru, Tamsin, the guru, Flynn, the vampire, and McCreary, the ghoul, head over to visit with Sarah Adams, another local guru leader who they hadn't heard from in a couple of days, and Cassandra had private interests to look into while also researching into the supernatural threat by returning to her bookstore, the Oracle's Quill. The party that went to Sarah Adams' home found it to be filled with bodies of other guru in states nigh inexplainable, undoubtedly manipulated by spirits of the Wyrm. Roz and Luca, coming away from the airport, found themselves to be chased by unseen pursuers and were run off their motorcycle of the edge of a freeway, moving out of the city and away from the path they intended to go ultimately. Cassandra, having returned to the Oracle's Quill, found it too to be in a state of disarray and was herself attacked upon investigating an intruder in the basement, one of werewolf origins themselves. So we ended our previous episode in tense spaces for each of the characters. But before we pick back up with those events, we're going to take a brief moment and look into Luca, the guru's past. So join all of us, both at the table and in the audience, in going back to Garbatella, a sub-city within the grand city of Rome. Very specifically, we are a few years into the past. Tarzan, how far back do you think we are in this moment with your father?
This would be, I'd say it wouldn't be his father, it would be his grandfather, William, that raised him, because his father died in the one of the fights with the kindred. So this would be back when he was about 8 years old. He's been with his grandfather for going on 2 years now. He's been his mentor and ultimately the person that's raised him since then. So yeah, about 8 years old. This would be 1998. Yeah.
All right. And William is a little bit kinder to you than he was to his own son in raising his direct progeny by way of his child who had fallen in a kindred attack. He is attempting to set you up for longevity while also providing to you an experience he may not have done so for his son. And although I'm painting a little bit of a picture of kindness, he is doing so at the moment as you are walking and talking. It is instructing you on how to clear a jam from, what at the time would be a fairly new Beretta semi-automatic pistol, while you are walking along underneath the archways at the Catacombe di San Castillo, which is sort of a castle adjacent catacomb structure, which is a loosely attended tourist spot. But when the sun goes down, and unfortunately does happen to be a hot spot for some of those blank bodies that a lot of your family is not a big fan of at the moment.
Right.
And walking along, gun in your hands, he's discussing with you. All right, now you made sure to oil it before we brought it out this evening. Is that correct?
Yes, Grandpa. It's always.
Excellent. And I know last time you had some extraneous items in that backpack. It's not a bad idea to do so, especially in a backpack as small as yours, to hide the shape of a firearm. But do you have anything in there this time that may accidentally grab the trigger?
Yeah, just extra clothes, medical supplies, as always.
Wonderful. Excellent. So sometimes when we face off against the kindred, we unfortunately, by way of our nature, are stirring up the spirits of the place in which these battles take place, and nothing is more chaotic for a great enemy to latch onto than following up the technology we bring to bear against our enemies. In this type, and he holds his hand out, not taking the gun from you, but very much offering for you to give it to him.
Mhm.
Mhm.
He looks down at it, eventually relinquishes the gun over to him after a moment.
And he does something that you've probably heard about from his reputation, um, but not something that you've necessarily seen before. He looks around, makes certain that you don't have anybody in the direct vicinity to observe what he's about to do, and hunching over to cover as much of the firearm as possible, keeping the, I guess I'm going to use terms I don't know the terms. So the hopper that casings are ejected from, holding that against so as
Ejection
well.
port, yeah.
There you go. Yeah, the ejection port is as covered as possible. He hunches over and he fires around directly into his lower abdomen. And he's holding the gun in such a way that, sure enough, a casing is caught in that ejection port. And he stands up and he just like closes his eyes, breathes very steadily for the better part of 30 seconds. And although you faced your own first turning under grim circumstances, you are rather aware, by way of the loss of your parentage, of a lot of what goes on in Karoo society. Impressive that through sheer will and determination, your grandfather is healing in Hamid form right before your eyes. And he holds one hand out and catches the bullet before it is able to eject fully from his body. And pocketing it, he holds the gun back up and begins describing to you for a couple of moments um, the means by which you can cleanly and quickly, and more importantly, quietly clear the ejection port and get the next round chambered in case you find yourself in a jam where you need to use that weapon against enemies. And you're simultaneously listening, you're taking in the lesson because it seems like a fairly simple concept, but these weapons seem fairly simple as well. Why would they foul up in this way?
Yeah.
And at the same time, you're a bit distracted because this man has been your primary influence, your only caregiver for a time. And as a result, you know most of the lines in his face, most of the scars that even Guru healing weren't able to take care of. And in the time it took for him to fire that round into himself and clear any evidence of the wound on his abdomen, you notice more thinning of the hair just at the sides than were present 10 minutes ago. There's another freckle or liver spot or two that are in the beginning stages of forming. Your grandfather at this time would only be about 63 to 64, but he is a battle-worn individual. And in that moment, you realize that part of the condition of being Guru is that calling on your gifts pushes that mortality a little bit.
Yeah.
And just to teach you a lesson, he took unknown amounts of time off of his life.
Yeah. Luca does look a little upset at the change in visage, the slight, even as slight as it is seeing how rapidly he's degenerating is very upsetting for him.
And contemplating that at the moment, I'm going to ask you to ignore your character sheet, considering that you're much younger than that version of Luca was built to reflect. And I would like you to roll 3 dice. No rage. Just roll 3 dice for me because your grandpa looks up all of a sudden and you see his nostrils flare.
That's 1 success. Critical.
Yeah, it's got to be a pair, unfortunately, to count, but we'll take the 1 success for what it is. And you don't hear, see, or smell anything. And unfortunately, no aspects of Gaia have revealed themselves to you yet in such a fashion that you've taken on most of the abilities you've heard other Guru are able to do. You can mostly shift at this point, but as you try to concentrate, unfortunately, no greater senses allow for you to see or hear what he might have seen or heard. And you definitely don't smell what's causing his lips to curl as his nostrils continue to flare. And he hands the gun back to you, and he takes what looks like an old mag light, or what would have been available in Italy in the late 90s, that has been hollowed out and stuffed in such a fashion that it's able to be stuck on the front of your weapon. And he hands it back to you and he says, I need you to stay about 10 paces behind me. Be ready for anything, and especially keep an eye on my corners. And he shifts probably about a half a foot taller in height, kicking his shoes off as he does so. He loosens the shirt that was unbuttoned and only barely hanging on his shoulders as he begins stating these things to you, as he swells with muscle going into his glabro form. And he moves forward at such a speed that you are still impressed. He makes no sound whatsoever. Are you going to follow, or are you going to try to investigate elsewhere?
Luke is going to follow. He's always fascinated by William's transformation and how he's able to move so quietly, as even as big as he is. So he's trying to shadow him, mimicking any abilities that he can pull off himself, to try and learn as much as he can from observing William.
Perfect. And he drifts forward a couple of paces, and you can always tell, even just a 5-degree change in the positioning of his head can let you know that he's listening for certain things. And the drift of his head that you've seen so many times in this moment, he's checking that you're behind him. He moves forward once he knows you're following, checks behind him without actually looking, and he then sort of like turns, makes brief eye contact with you in a way that you understand means stay, follow in 10 seconds, because you've been working on these things for a while. And he drifts forward and around the corner. And just for kicks, please give me another 3-die roll in place of your usual perception.
Oh boy. That's one success again.
Stellar. You find yourself at the end of a hall. Arches are to your right, leaving a little bit of again, any potential coverage, but the walls to your left have a lot of breakpoints and what are closed drawers, if you will. That's what they would be at a morgue anyways. In a catacomb of this nature, they're just holes for internment, and you don't necessarily like, because you put on your paranoid eyes and ears, that there are openings on that side. So sticking near to the arch, you're looking, you're listening, you're looking, you're listening, and unfortunately you realize you've lost track of William. He's that good. But as you begin moving in the direction you'd last seen, apparently your own passive stealth for the sake of this story is good enough that dropping down from on high onto the ground in front of you is what appears to be something else very werewolf-like, but much more slender, and it doesn't smell like Guru. And it hasn't clocked you, but it's facing in the direction that surely your grandpa has just gone, because it begins creeping forward ever so slightly.
Okay. Raising the handgun, I will make it a point that Luca does forget to clear the chamber after the essential training that William just went through him with, because he's still trying to catch up with his grandfather. So he points up the gun, seeing the casing still lodged in the ejection port. It makes this terrible terrible choice to clear that chamber, and is going to try and catch the case without it making a sound on the ground. We'll see if it works.
3 dice. The difficulty of success here? 3.
Oh boy. That's a 1 again. I am not lucky today.
Doing great, my friend. You would you consider Luca to be right-handed or left-handed?
Right-handed.
Right-handed. Do you think he's seen some of those older James Bond films at this point?
Probably. It's yeah, for sure.
I know there are other media examples, like Eraser is a pretty good one. There's some other stuff, but undoubtedly Luca would have tried to maneuver gun in right hand, left hand over to catch the casing, or under to catch the casing.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, attempting, I don't remember the full name of the clear, but you can see it in the John Wick's film. You do that maneuver where you try to like check the chamber with the same hand that you're holding the gun.
Yeah.
You're 8 years old, and the maneuver you try doesn't cause the casing.
Don't have the finger dexterity for it. Don't have the strength in the hands. Yeah, he definitely biffs it.
Let's be forthright. You're a werewolf, so it's not like you're weak. But yeah, the casing, for what it's worth, just falls to the ground. It doesn't go flying and hit the guy in the back of the head or anything in that nature. But the important thing here is it makes sound, and you're smart. You don't look down after it. You keep an eye on the back of this creature, and you get a really good sense of what it might be, because unlike Guru, who are fast, but you can track that movement, this one goes from facing away from you to being in your face in the blink of an eye. And from the stories you've heard so far, that tells you, ah, yes, vampire. There's now a
Oh.
vampire in your face. And this 8-year-old boy, gun in hand, now has a clawed hand gripping around the front of your shirt and bodily lifting you up off the ground.
Oh boy. Yeah. Yeah. Is Kindred? I already have a bit of a history with them, so yeah, he's gonna try and squeeze off a couple rounds.
I don't mean to undercut the prolific nature by which you can use weapons and tools and tactics in the future, but I will point out that an 8-year-old at close quarters now has a handmade silencer at the front of a Beretta, which is already a large handgun for an 8-year-old. And as
Right.
you attempt to sort of like spaghetti western from the holster, like just do that wrist bend because you have no other choice if you want the
Yeah.
gun to face this creature. 3 dice, sir.
Oh
Difficulty
boy.
3.
For the love of God. No, we're choosing different dice this time. That's one critical success. Jesus Christ.
And for the audience at home, unfortunately, they have to be pairs.
Ugh.
With your one success, you're popping off rounds, and you're undoubtedly getting them into the flesh. Nothing critical of this creature, but more. If you take the time to release an entire magazine into it, you're only getting about 2 rounds into the creature, and
Yeah.
everything else is hitting rock and stone around you. The silencer is undoubtedly broken off at the same time, so you are creating quite a lot of noise. And regrettably, teeth do enter in the region of your shoulder in a way that you haven't experienced before. And I will say that this would give cause for you to feel the need to begin shifting. But as you contemplate that option, you simultaneously feel the creature reeling back ever so slightly. Um, you've been told that there's absolutely no compunction about vampires feeding on werewolves. As a matter of fact, they delight in the opportunity to consume Garou blood. So it had nothing to do with its attempt to feed on you. But backing away just a couple of feet, you do see there is the entirety of a 4-foot long, 2.5-foot wide cross sticking into this creature's chest and coming out the other side, which doesn't down it entirely, but your grandfather, still just in glabro form, is now facing off against it, and with absolutely no compunction about trying to be quiet, begins tearing into this creature in front of you. We aren't using stats. Your character at that age and at this time, attacked by a pretty prolific gangrel, would be hurt. But would you want to continue to try to aid your grandfather in this conflict?
He would probably break contact, like William would teach him, and create some distance. He's not big enough to stand on his own, but he's strong. So he's going to create some space.
And over the next only 60 seconds, possibly less, your grandfather takes swiping strikes at this vampire, and you attempt to get a shot in here and there. Once you catch your breath, load a new magazine, and the silencer long gone, you know that if and when you're successful here, you'll just have to break and run, because gunfire in the night in the city of Rome will attract attention. Naturally, the vampire, a dick, occasionally attempts to capitalize on the notion that you are something that William would be distracted by, attempts to not harm you, but put you in danger, to put William off his guard. But again, less than 60 seconds later, that vampire is put to the ground, its head is cleaved away, and as your grandpa comes back to your side in full glabro form, you still hear your own gunshots ringing in your ears. He says, "My boy," and he calls you by your father's name. What is your dad's name?
Antonio.
Antonio.
That's
So
his middle name.
And the way he says Antonio, you can tell he's not referring to your middle name, at least in that moment. It's the fear in his eyes and the rage in his voice. You can tell that in that moment, his fear was for another loss like that one. And He grabs you by the shoulders and begins to run because, again, the gunshots are still ringing in your ears, and you know they must be attracting more attention. Those gunshots. Those gunshots. Flashing forward to 2025, submachine gun fire from four sources is pouring down onto the freeway off ramp. Half of it in the direction of Raziel, and the other half in the direction of Luca. Raz, if you'll help me in this memory, were you running anything like Sense the Unseen at the end of the last session?
That is a fantastic question. I cannot recall. I do remember using Cat's Grace to get out of the wreck. That was the last thing I did before we cut off.
That's correct. I just wanted to check because I do know that Luca's senses are heightened at the moment. And before I began describing things, I wanted to know if yours were as well. And I will say, if that's a discipline that your character has, and I don't have your sheet in front of me, it would make nothing but good sense, especially because it can be activated for free, that you would have it running right now.
Yeah, since the Unseen is on.
Okay, perfect. In the space that I outlined in the previous episode or chapter, as I like to call them, Roz, you were able to sort of roll and get back up to your feet without taking too much damage as a result of your cat's grace. Luca, you went to the end of the off ramp and you were able to dive out or off of the motorcycle with her leaving the sidecar, but you were able to get off the bike and you took some scrapes. But you shifted into your Glabro form. In your mind's eyes, you're probably only about 30 feet apart from each other at the moment, but that's a great distance when two submachine gun wielders are bearing down on both of you separately. What are the two of you doing in this moment?
How far away is the bike from me? I only got my Beretta on me right now, right?
You'll have to forgive me. I went to mute myself and turn off my speaker instead. Can you say that again?
Said, how far is the bike away from me right now? Because I believe I only have my Beretta on me right now.
In this moment, probably a good 10 to 12 feet.
Oh, wait, not Beretta. Springfield. I got a Springfield 45. 10, 15 feet. Okay.
Yep.
And Roz is nowhere to be seen right now? Or how far are you from Luca?
That's a great question. How far away did we end up from each other?
You're about 30 feet away from each other right now, and a freeway off ramp makes for poor cover. You could potentially be behind a rail, or you might have tried to head further down the freeway to a parked car. But at the moment that we began, you were 30 feet away from each other, neither of you having the best cover from fire.
If I can get behind a parked car, if there is one, that would be more ideal. And in doing so, would we be able to tell whether these pursuants have any formation at all? Is it clear that they're taking orders from one of the group in particular?
I will ask you to. What does he have to do with it? No. Roz, in this heightened state, I would like you to make either a survival check or an insight check. It's less so to do with perception. It's more so to try to get a sense of the tactics being used. So, and I know, and I'm thinking of Dungeons and Dragons. Let's have wits attached to one of those, either survival or insight, please.
We shall do insight and wits for a pool of 6 dice. 1 moment, please hold. Difficulty?
Because it's dark, because they are actively firing on you, I'll say that the difficulty is 5.
4 successes.
All right, not a direct success to get the answers you were looking for. But what you're able to see is that 2 have moved more or less to the front of the vehicle and are taking cover just at the end, side by side, and the other 2 are through the open doors, standing on the ground with the doors open in front of them, acting as cover for themselves. So no real great formation that indicates a leader, but there is some degree of prowess and intelligence to their take on the situation.
I would like to perform the right. Right, no, that's not right. I would like to perform the gift, Fatal Flaw. It's a contested skill check, intelligence and glory versus their composure and subtlety. Trying to learn one way to deal aggravated damage to them.
You got it. I will put that pool
Intelligence.
together. May the best roller win.
And glory is 2. Plus my 2 rage. You gotta be kidding me. That is 2 successes.
Ooh, okay. I had 3, which I thought would be too low.
Shit.
At the moment,
Right,
unfortunately,
not
no
good.
apparent no apparent weaknesses, I'm afraid.
Gotcha. I'm going to maneuver as quickly as I can to the bike to try and get my grenades out of there. I'm going to make these guys open.
Fantastic. At this time, allowing the two of you to kind of get your bearings on the situation for those first couple of questions and rolls, I will now shift forward to the obvious results of them firing weapons at you. There's going to be an additional contested roll for you both. Roz, Cat's Grace helps you from falling down and losing your balance. But again, we sort of played around with what it really means to be a vampire in the last session, and we exaggerated certain people's disciplines just for narrative purposes. In the time between them firing and you going to cover, you certainly could have made your way down the ramp and gotten behind a car just by way of sprinting with undead vigor. And as a result, I would like you to make a dexterity and athletics roll to dodge, and you can add an additional die for getting behind a car. And Luca, in a similar fashion, it sounds like you're attempting just to not be hit as opposed to attacking back until you can reach your grenades, perhaps. So I would similarly like you to make a dodge and athletics roll. Sorry.
Real quick before we go further, I noticed Glabro gets 1 health back per rage.
Let's have you make a rage check for me then, please. Let's
right.
route that rage.
That's 3 rages. So that's 2 points or 2 successes.
And don't forget, it's 1 die rolled when we rouse. What that implies is that you can make a rouse check to heal 1 point. And when you said you said 3 successes or 2 successes?
2. You
2?
want me to just re-roll 1?
Let's eat the one from the 2 successes, because statistically speaking, the chances of you having had a success there are greater. So you heal 1 of those damage points you took from the previous session, and you do not increase your rage at this time.
Cool.
Okay. And both of you, please, it's dexterity and athletics, and I'm going to roll to try to shoot you.
Yeah, buddy. Dexterity.
Difficulty at all?
The difficulty will be the rolls that I make.
No worries. It's not good.
That's 4 successes, 1 brutal.
Total success? 1. I have no athletics. Why would I do
that? Roz, you take 2 points of aggravated damage, actually. And boy. I will go ahead and say that, Roz, as you think about the fact that mortals are shooting firearms at you, the Second Inquisition hunters have gotten pretty crafty with reference to blessing bullets, to having hollow point bullets wherein the tops have been actually strategically filled with wood in an attempt to stake vampires with bullets. That has worked a total of 0 times, but it's an interesting concept that they're working with. But they have all sorts of interesting ideas about how to use firearms to wound kindred, and short of genuinely blessed by the Vatican holy water bullets, it's damn near impossible for standard firearms to do aggravated damage outright. And what that feels like to Roz is basically, instead of the mosquito sting with some annoying that bullets usually do, you feel like parts of your no longer functioning internal organs being shoved aside as large caliber weapons basically blow a hole through the back of your torso. That's how it feels as you take those 2 points of aggravated damage. And I'm going to ask you to make a difficulty 7 perception and wits check.
Oh boy.
And I believe that if you have Sense the Unseen running, you get an additional die for the purposes of what I'm challenging you here for. Luca, with your 4 successes, you have just met the difficulty, but as the runner, me. In this case, I will at least do the additional 1 point of aggravated damage that this would yield. So good thing you just healed. You've taken on another as gunfire rains down upon you. And the two of you haven't had a chance to confer yet. But I'll go ahead and say, for the sake of the players, that holy hell, if these guys have silver, holy water coated bullets, you might be in trouble.
Yep.
But the challenge here wasn't, do I get grenades? The challenge here was, I know where my grenades are. And the bike got broken up a little bit, but it's still up on its wheels thanks to the sidecar. You know how to get into those saddlebags. You have now reached your standard frag grenades from the Desert Storm era, which means probably a little less potency, but they'll still go bang as needed.
Right.
But
yeah.
The two of you, one of you now has shit cover behind a motorcycle that is taking quite a lot of damage, and the other has reasonably decent cover behind a car. And you see one of the two of them goes down 2 more shots as the other one is replacing a magazine. You can hear that from afar, Luca. You know that there's a certain degree of training here that might be a little bit of disquieting. And the two from the doors, knowing that you're now behind the bike, begin moving sort of like staggered from each other so they don't make a clean line away from the car. And in a similar fashion, Roz, you see the other two about 5 feet apart moving sideways down the road, trying to get closer to where you are behind a car. What are the two of you doing now?
I'm going to throw the grenade at their car.
Fantastic. And Luca, I forgot to ask you as well, for a perception check, difficulty 7, you get that extra die because I assume you're still running Werewolf Eyes. I don't remember what it's called.
Eyes of the Owl.
Thank you. As you put together a pool and we consider how the grenade is going to work, Roz, you rolled perception and wits?
That was only 5 successes.
Only 5 successes. What I'll give you with a 5, once again, it's not all or nothing. It's just degrees of success here. You are watching as they shoot, and the number of flashes don't make sense from the muzzles. Luca, you rolled for perception.
The wits and awareness, right?
Yep. Or yeah, awareness. Thank you. Guys, I was playing D&D yesterday and today.
That is 3 successes.
3 successes. You are less able to see any patterns that don't make sense as these two gunmen bear down on you. But you throw the grenade, and it's going to go into the vehicle, or did you want it to go under the vehicle?
Under the vehicle. Maybe looking to incapacitate it so I can get back on the bike and run.
Perfect. All right. Well, what I will do with that is I will roll a dodge from the van's perspective. It gets 0 dice for being a van, and an additional 0 dice for still being a van. That is no successes. So no need for you to roll. You've attacked a stationary object, and instead it is going to take the equivalent of 6 points of aggravated damage, being directly next to the shrapnel and explosion. This vehicle has been rendered useless. What I will ask you to do for me, though, this isn't necessarily built into the World of Darkness dice system. Can you please roll a single die for me? And we're going to go ahead and use this as a means of gauging how full the gas tank was. And Flynn, can you say really quick, low or high?
Hi.
Sweet.
So that would be a 1 success.
Okay. Unfortunately, those things do not match up, which means the gas tank was rather low. And if you had a high result and a high for Flynn, that would have meant big boom, possibly hurt the gunman. What I'm refereeing here is that you rolled high, but they said, or you rolled low and they said high. So unfortunately, the gas tank was actually rather low. They must have rammed you out of desperation because they weren't going to be able to maintain this pursuit for too much longer. Nevertheless, the two of you are able to see the 4 of them scatter. The explosion, unlike an action movie, doesn't make them look cool as they walk away. Instead, they stagger to the ground, and one of them falls to the ground, as a matter of fact. Are you hopping on the bike?
Yep, hopping on the bike, looking for Roz. Actually, I'll just let out a whistle since I just saw her fucking leap off my bike as I'm crashing. So,
okay,
fire back up, and we're hitting the road.
Cool. Guess what? This is a tense situation with consequences. I need you to make a composure and drive check for me, please.
That's 4.
Dia, I believe you were about to say something.
As these four are scattering and Rose hears that whistle, is she able to make eye contact with any of them at all?
You absolutely may, especially because from your to be stunned at the moment.
Amazing. She's going to the closest one to her as she makes a headline for Lucas' bike. She's going to lean ever so slightly closer and say, "Oh, you were trying to fight me. Why did you do a stupid thing like that?" She's going to use compulsion and say, "Defend us."
Oh.
Now, this creature is prepared to defend, and I believe that means you'll have to make a roll in order to instill this compulsion, and they are going to roll back. You have the discipline right in front of you, or at least I assume you do. Can you tell me what my defense pool is as I put it together?
It is for compulsion. Compel. Issue a single command. 3. No, not again. No rolls are needed when a target is an unprepared mortal. However, mortals have been dominated. Doesn't actually say.
Let me look at that with you.
Yeah, I'm looking at compel with a single command.
Mhm.
Oh, opposing pole, beg your pardon, intelligence and resolve.
Got it. Thank you. And the audience, we're all learning together.
I'm down a grenade. How dare they?
Don't forget, Mercedes has loosely agreed to try to put together some more desirable equipment for tomorrow's pickup, and a quick text, if you believe in such things, on non-burner phones could absolutely see if they have additional munitions of that nature. I only got 3 on my check.
Oh boy.
Lucky, I only got 2.
Oh
Hey!
my god.
Oh, this is gonna be perfect then. Because you hear this individual, Dia, you hear this individual say a nonsensical string of words. As a matter of fact, they say, can the lamp drink spaghetti? And hearing those words in particular confuses and gives pause to you. That I will say, because especially you have sensed the unseen, you're right up in this guy's face. You're actually able to see lightly pointed ears and a disproportionately pointed chin. And this individual brings the gun to bear, like pointed at your torso. And now I need you to actually make a wits and composure check, please.
The composure and drive was 4 successes, 1 brutal.
Stellar. As Dia puts together that roll for Roz, Luca, I'll go ahead and state that you're able to get it going again on the first power up. That's a solid kick, especially because it stumbled a little, it rolled, but it got back on its wheels. An old bike doesn't necessarily always love taking damage like that, but again, first kick, lights up. You spot Roz down the road, and there are now 2 gunmen standing over her. At least that's what you're seeing. And you see that Roz is standing in a domineering fashion for a moment, and then sort of like quells ever so slightly as you see the usual expected results of one or both. And welcome back. Thank you all for the unexpected interruption. We briefly lost connection. We had just been in the process of dictating that an attempted discipline use by Roz, the Toreador, was about to fail, and Dia, the player of Roz, is elected to use their Ancilla Blood Potency reroll, which is able to be done once per discipline attempt. And to that end, Dia, you had rerolled. How many successes this time? You might be muted.
I am looking at the wrong discipline. Where is it? There it is. So many tabs. I apologize. I didn't know I could blood surge. We're all learning as we go along. Charisma and dominate. That's 2.
And if you wanted to give yourself that much more of a chance, you can give me a hunger rouse check to add 1 additional die by increasing your charisma very quickly. YOLO, am I right?
A rise check. Success on the rise check.
So that gives you your 1 additional charisma without increasing your hunger.
Oh my gosh, fantastic.
Excuse me.
6 successes.
Yes, that is absolutely going to trounce the 3 that I had previously. And as a result, this individual goes, your first 3 albums were my favorite. And you feel what's interesting. You can tell that, yes, they finally realize they're dealing with Roz. But you still feel that tug in your mind that audiences won't know I called for before the connection was dropped, wherein you feel as though an attempted power is being levied in your direction. And something else I revealed before the connection was lost and we came back is that as this individual turns, you're looking and you actually don't spot the second one that should have been right next to them or would be on the ground. And as they turn, they begin running, not shooting, but running in the direction of the other individual wherever they are. And in one hand, they bear a stake, and in the other hand, a hypodermic needle. And they go running off in the other direction towards the other individuals across the way who are still openly firing in yours and Luca's direction as Luca comes tearing down the freeway, kicking their motorcycle back into action. And Luca, you arrive all of a sudden at Roz's side.
Get on, let's get out of here.
You don't have to tell me twice. We are on that bike.
With that, we tear off now that they don't have fucking transport to follow us anymore.
And for the sake of pulling ourselves back into a similar scene with one another, you knew that you had a destination down in Salem to visit, but Roz, you're back in the sidecar. You probably have one hand on the motorcycle because the sidecar is a little bit jangly at the moment. And even if strength isn't your forte, you're strong enough to help keep things stable. And with the other hand, you're flitting through your phone just in case anybody else is running into trouble. And Dr. Tamsin did shoot out a message urging everyone to come to join forces back at a address near Mount Tabor Park on the east side of Portland. I would hope that you show this to Luca, and Luca agrees. Yeah, we should probably regroup.
Change of plan. We're meeting up with the others somewhere else.
All right, I'll take us there.
And for the sake of those both at home in the audience and those at the table, we have one brief conflict from the previous session to wrap up now that we've wrapped that one. Back in the basement of the Oracle's Quill, Cassandra, you've voluntarily gone into torpor before, whether it was in this physical form or another, and it's possible in your storied existence. You've unfortunately been forced into this state as well. And even if your body is young, your mind is old and experienced enough that even in a state of forced sleep, your most vulnerable state as a member of the night, you're still vaguely aware of your surroundings. You can't tell necessarily, even after all this time, if seconds have gone by, if minutes have gone by, but you're staring about the ceiling, thinking about these last couple of revelations from the previous episode before I turn it over to you to dictate what you're thinking and feeling while not being able to move. And those are Jason is upstairs, reeling from your having drunk from him previously, from the rage of Corey's departure. The bookstore was torn apart. It looks as though nothing was taken, but they were absolutely looking for something. And when you came downstairs and attempted to confront the individual who was tearing apart your apartment, you tased them, and they returned fire in the form of claws and teeth as they shifted into a garou. But they left you alive on their way out. Now James is talking to his child. Hot mic, buddy. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, we all agree you had a hot mic. Anyways,
Who's Byron?
So Cassandra, you're thinking about all these things and you still have no idea where Corey is or might have gone. And that mental attempt at communicating with him, which you know is something you can do with Jason, and you were recently given evidence that it's now forming, or that bond is now forming with Corey, does not connect. What's Cassandra thinking in this moment?
I think at this moment, Cassandra is thinking I don't think this version of Cassandra is actually thinking. I think the original version of Cassandra has come forward and is probably giving a lot of old memories coming back. So it's sort of like when trauma happens and you think of something else. I think that's what's been happening. So this version of Cassandra is not thinking. She has been pushed to the background, and the older version of Cassandra is brought forward.
And that version of Cassandra is potentially warring for the controlling sense of what should we do and what the train of thought is at the moment, with that ever-present voice of the sire as well. And the sire is lambasting Cassandra's body, stating that it was foolish to come here, that of course no one listened to her, no one ever listens to the other Cassandras. We wouldn't be in this position if any of the Cassandras had ever taken his advice and forced themselves to become the most powerful person in the room.
I think the older Cassandra, because of the nature of her turn with the sire, is physically and visibly angry and mentally angry, because she knows she needed to turn at the time because of the war in Troy, but also she didn't necessarily want to. And she is also worrying with the fact that no one ever believes her, including him, and he doesn't seem to understand that he's part of the prophecy of never being believed.
And these voices kind of bat at one another over the course of, once again, what might as well be centuries. For it's difficult to tell how much time is passing as dust motes begin to settle in a room that was being torn apart, one in which a loud impact struck the ground, then the floor as Cassandra was tossed across the place. And you, the present day Cassandra, still very much that old Cassandra, but the one that's now in control of this entity, begins to feel a little bit of awareness coming back. Cassandra feels that her head is propped up at the moment on someone's legs, and you're feeling blood crossing your lips and being turned into vitae. And as awareness really kicks in, we're all going to pause for just a moment and say, does anybody else hear that feedback? Yes. Okay, cool. We have pretty bad feedback. James, I'm not playing a prank on you. Just like how we all heard your voice earlier, we all seem to be hearing some interesting audio distortion.
It's like a fat fly, buzzing by
Yeah.
your ear.
Yeah.
Types.
It's
Really
almost like a cell phone interference when it used to ring while you were doing something on
Oh,
a
yeah.
speaker.
I didn't see anybody's mic hot.
I think tonight is cursed.
Where is my white sage spray? Please don't.
Also, my cat keeps looking at the ceiling. I don't know why. Oh, there's a ladybug. That's why.
Hold on. Did it do something? I'm irritated.
To add to the cursed nature of tonight, I got a screenshot from my mom of the text conversation, and a concerned citizen from town
God.
who tends to walk her dogs by our house. I don't have the money or ability to provide my dog shelter when she's outside when I'm at work, because when I'm at work, everyone else is at school or work too, so there's no one to watch her inside. And it's been raining recently, but I have no way to give her shelter at all. And she passively, kind of maybe passive aggressively, said that she wasn't going to file an animal cruelty charge yet. And I'm like, I'm sorry, you are accusing me of animal cruelty when I'm broke, poor, and have no time to do anything about it? Are you kidding me?
That's weird.
Honestly, it's usually if you give them water and food while they're outside, they don't necessarily have to have
She has
shelter.
food and water. I
Right,
make
exactly.
her that every morning.
Right.
but I don't have something to keep her dry.
Right. Right. I am 100%
hate
with you.
people.
I didn't mean to sound like I was trying to be
No,
mean.
for sure.
I
That
hate
person's
people.
dumb.
But I'm like,
We
the
don't like
okay
them.
mood I was in is
Aw.
Boo.
Yeah, I'm hearing
No
the
bad
feedback now once I turned off some stuff, but like it's very
Yeah,
quiet.
it's
It's like that
humming.
humming of a fan.
I can't hear anything now.
Now I can't hear anything.
I hear a little bit of a humming, but it's
Yeah,
not.
I can.
It's not like before.
I hear something like just the passive like feedback you get from someone's mic on Discord if they have
Yeah.
a fan on in the background, but it's
Yeah.
nothing crazy.
Oh God, is
Okay.
it me? Am I the problem?
I don't
No,
know.
if anything, it's me because I've got a heater going because it's freezing.
If
And I
you're
do
hearing
have
a
a
fan, it's
ceiling
it's
fan.
mine.
Oh,
Mine buzzes.
no bad vibes.
But I turned
Okay.
up the
Bad vibes.
noise gate
Perfect.
on my microphone. I'll try and fuck with it a little bit more. 1 second.
Meanwhile, Sam in New York City is just running a chainsaw under the table and none of us can see
Yeah,
it.
I'm working. My cat keeps looking up, and I don't know if it looks like a ladybug, but it might be the other thing that looks like a ladybug. That's not a ladybug that bites you.
Oh, the
The
stink
Asian
bugs?
beetle?
That one.
Never heard of it.
Question: if I turn on my mic
Stick bugs don't bite.
or turn on my mute, let me know if you guys. Okay, cool. So it wasn't me. Never mind.
Oh, yes, Sarah. Yes, Asian beetles bite hard, and that's what that is. It's getting sprayed.
Yeah,
Jeez.
and the biggest difference between a Asian beetle is the amount of dots they have.
Yeah, I
And
can't.
also, Asian beetles are going to be more orange.
Yeah, this one's more
I
orange,
know way too much
definitely.
about
And
bugs.
my cat is flabbergasted because she just keeps staring up, like, what the fuck? And she's also way too big to do the jump that she's thinking of doing. So I just like sit down. Like, don't do that. Don't.
All right.
So anyway,
See if we
cool.
can get back.
We're
Sam,
doing great.
Back to
You got
time,
this.
What was that, James?
back to
I see you try to
reality.
launch it again. We'll see if we can keep moving.
I believe in you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you. All right, here we
You're
go.
welcome.
Sam, kind of just gonna jump right back in because
Yes.
I remember where we were at. Okay.
Okay.
3, 2, 1. And Cassandra, as that growing sense of awareness finds its way to your mouth, you can feel familiar tasting vitae forming as blood slips between your lips, and you realize that the already bedraggled Jason upstairs was able to find his way down, stumbled to the ground where you were, and has used an open wound on his wrist to begin feeding blood back into your torpid form. And you're able to take 2 units.
Okay.
You fully know that this would bring you out of a torpid state. It does not heal you beyond bringing you back into your personal awareness. But you're at a point now where you have the awareness. You can heal yourself somewhat by finishing Jason off. You can also stop feeding on Jason, but he'll need to go to a hospital pretty much immediately. And if you do feed on him, you can walk out of the bookstore and seek additional help and potentially regroup with the others. But if the two of you are in a not so ambulatory state, you'll have to call help to yourselves, which would mean other people coming to a distraught version of the Oracle's Quill. You have an interesting choice before you, but you have not met your final death this night. Not yet.
I think that this version of Cassandra, upon hearing the other version, the older version, the original version of Cassandra and the sire, is angry beyond belief and is leaning toward what the sire is saying about pulling power as she can. But she's also aware that she still needs Jason in order to, in her mind, find Corey. And unfortunately, despite her weariness of it, she's gonna have to seek outside help.
That being the case, a large portion of the group is on their way to some home. You pick up your phone and you're considering the help that you might call, whether it's a member of the group, please let that be the case for the sake of the production, and or if it's somebody else you may have contact with, and I'm more than happy to help facilitate that with you. But it seems a lot of people are heading to a home in the Mount Tabor area at the moment, which is a ways off, but they could potentially be redirected towards you instead. Is there somebody else in Cassandra's life? She could even potentially try Corey's phone. That hasn't happened yet. Or another character we've yet to explore a relationship with that she would want to try to call to her aid, or seeing an active group chat with the individuals she has no other choice at the moment because Judith, the Primogen of Portland of the Malkavian clan, has asked for Cassandra to participate in this investigation. Are you going to turn that resource in your favor and call them here instead?
So Cassandra, I think in her mind is going to do something. She's always going to be playing the game about how hurt she is. So she's going to direct Jason to call Luca, and she's going to call Ben.
Jason, eyes barely open, nods at that.
Mhm.
And you see with you handing him his own phone, he's able to thumb the buttons and get a call going. And unfortunately, you can see his failed attempt the first time because he like frustratedly but exhaustedly hangs up and then dials again. But he gets on the line with Luca. Luca, your phone begins to ring. Do you answer it while writing? I mean, you've got a sidecar, so you can use a hand pretty safely, not on the throttle. Or do you hand it over to Roz? You are muted, my friend.
I'd say Luca is pretty conscientious about texting and driving, as I am very much against it. So seeing he's getting a call, hands it over to Roz.
Good. I don't
This
need
is Ross speaking.
come to the bookstore. Come. And you realize you may not know who this is or what bookstore they're talking about. Luca did not have this number in the contacts.
Someone wants us to head back to the bookstore.
And Luca, as a reminder, you had heard about this occultish bookstore that the Malkavian was heading to. And if you guys were attacked, couldn't be coincidental in the slightest that maybe some other members of the group were attacked as well.
Luca doesn't know where the Oracle's Quill is yet, does he?
Luca, do you have Google Maps on your phone?
I do. So let's Google that shit.
Fantastic. All right. Punching in the Oracle's Quill, it is the only result. Actually, there's another one all the way in Pennsylvania, but you get the notion that's not the one that's being discussed at the moment. And Cassandra, in a side story, may have to explore something like copyright infringement, but that'll be for another time. Cassandra, you make a phone call to Ben. Ben, for a little bit of context, you have just arrived with one of the individuals you had headed over to Astoria with to investigate the Pisanob family members of Clan Giovanni. This individual is Wilco. Sarah, this is our first time seeing Wilco on the series. Before we get to that phone call, please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your character.
Hi, my name is Sarah Babe, and I am playing Wilco. She is what I would like to call a sleeper. It looks like your average Midwest mom with that average, not quite brown, not quite blonde hair, uh, glasses, looking a little bit, thinks she's real cool. Driving a car that looks incredibly average, just like an average SUV. But if you opened up the hood, you would see something quite amazing, whatever that is. But it's quite amazing. And she has little like gloves she puts on when she's driving. She's got special sunglasses, everything, and she's always saying, Don't forget your seatbelts, okay? We can't get anywhere if we're gonna not wear our seatbelts.
And by the way, I love the notion of safety first being exemplified in that, whilst also wearing your sunglasses at night and driving a car. But you roll up in front of a residence near Mount Tabor Park in the city. You and Ben having just come from this little adventure, and it sounds like we're about to shift directions in just a second because Ben, you receive a call. This is a number that you should have saved. It is Cassandra.
Ben being in a vehicle does not do hubris form at all, as he gets sick. So in full lupus form, he'll feel something and just kind of knock it off of what looks like a bit of a half a fanny pack type connected to him, because the only thing he holds, and small backpack-ish, and you just hear a large bark come from the back.
Oh, you doing okay back there, buddy?
He just grabs the phone and just chucks it to the front, like
Oh,
hits the front window.
Hold on, let me pull over, get my turn signal. All right, okay. Oh, don't you start going at me, young man. And I'll answer the phone like, hello, this is Ben's phone.
And you hear Moonchild, like just very like soft, Moonchild, bookstore now.
Which bookstore?
That's all you hear.
Bookstore? Hello. I think it was a prank call, Ben. He just called me a Moonchild and then said, come to the bookstore now. Do you want a Drama Bean so you can be back in not that farm? I know you were saying something about getting sick in cars, and I totally understand about
having to do this in a vehicle, but Ben's going to get a little bigger as he goes into full hubris mode, or his
I
mode.
imagine she drives the Suburban because this shit happens.
Yeah.
Did you say you go Hispo inside of a car?
Yeah. I have no choice because it's the only way I can speak to her.
And Sarah.
Yes.
What kind of car was that again?
She said Suburban. Thank God.
Okay.
Suburban mom vehicle. We're good. That's the soccer mom car.
For the record, you went from the equivalent of having like an 80-pound, is it a husky or is it a wolf, to, I don't know, like a 200 to 300 pound. That's definitely not a husky. It's a wolf. Taking up at least one half of the inside of the passenger compartment. And
I think because we're pulled over for the phone call and he's kind of smushing, I'll be like, hold on a second, let me put down those third level seats and everything. And I just fold it all down so he doesn't have to be, don't want you to claw anything up. Like, I totally understand it happens. It's not problem.
Just hit the button next.
I'm going to take a brief pause in the action. Just a brief pause in the action as you guys talk to each other. Flynn, there's a little bit of investigation going on. Tamsin and Nemo had called some additional Garu to come to the space, and they're glass walkers. Like, you know a little bit about what that means, but not too much. But it seems as though they're contemporaries of Tamsin's to help keep sort of like a media hold on other people finding out something happened here. But they're also investigating why the entire house and about 5 to 10 feet outside of it appears to be a cellular dead zone. And you yourself wanted to get out of the way of the werewolf investigation and walked outside. And you're outside kind of taking notes like a good reporter would when you see the inside of a car all of a sudden explode with fur. And now I would like to invite you into the scene as we pick back up with a conversation between Wilco and Ben.
I mean, if you scratch something, it's perfectly fine. I know you're not meaning to do it.
Hit the button next to the name. The address is inside.
Oh, okay. My goodness, you don't have to be so grumpy about it. Just trying to be helpful. Here we go.
Probably as like this is happening, Flynn is just like slowly walking closer to this vehicle. Like, not the strangest thing they've seen today, but he's also like, what's going on?
do we smell it? Is Flynn coming?
Probably. I smell like death.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And
Okay.
Wilco, for a little bit of edification, your character was loosely described as having been in a meeting a few nights ago where some of the greater powers in Portland between the two different species factions said, hey, we've called all of you in to help with this situation. So you've smelled this body, this rotting body before, and you would recognize Flynn as they approach.
Okay. Oh, hey, Flynn, come on in. We still got room up front if you want to come with us.
What's McCreary doing?
McCreary is assisting with some stuff that's going on inside the home from the mortal perspective, and also helping with Kindred Assidius's behalf. He's just helping to maintain a control of the situation, and you've actually heard a couple of gunshots from inside the house arrived, as though there are some bodies of the non-guru that need additional, let's call it assistance with reference to McCreary's specialties. So he's got his hands full. Checking your phone, because they mentioned getting in the car, you did feel some vibrations a little while back. And I can't remember if Flynn has a flip phone.
No,
Just straight up.
Flynn has a smartphone. Like, he keeps up on technology because of his job.
Got it. You certainly do have some text messages indicating a need to everybody's coming to the house right now. That includes the individuals in the car, and they're encouraging you to get in the car with them.
I think Flynn just kind of like walks up to the window of the car. So what's going on?
We got to go to this bookstore over here. Let me see what the address says. Something about Oracle's Basic?
Wait, the Oracle's Quill?
Get in.
Oh, yeah. Quill.
Cassandra's fucked and she didn't want help and will get in the front seat.
Seatbelt.
Got it. And we'll
All right.
put the
Are you able to belt in back there or nobody? No?
Just hear
Okay,
heavy
well, just make
growl.
sure you lay down so you don't have to, so you don't,
He'll slowly
too-
reduce back to lupus form.
Oh, look at you being such a good werewolf. So proud of you.
And for the sake of keeping the action focused on all of you, Tamsin and McCreary are obviously going to stay behind with Nemo, investigating what's going on at Sarah Adams' residence. We will, however, bring everyone together finally. And as you arrive outside of the Oracle's Quill, Cassandra, inside the bookshop, it was a hard-won effort, but you and Jason have been able to make your way back up to the primary ground level of the location. Unfortunately, based on how things went sometime in the last half hour, because who knows how much time has passed before everybody arrives, the door is wide open. At least for now, it's unknown if anybody else has come and gone, but it's open for the new arrivals as they park and arrive and walk in. Everyone, welcome to Cassandra's Bookshop.
And so that's when I finally got to be president of the PTA. It was amazing. But it wasn't for me. There was too many people being too crazy about too many things. And I just, they let me drive at a field trip once and it just did not go well.
Luca is going to beeline it inside, quiet as possible, scouting out the interior of the bookstore to see if there's any remaining forces that we need to be wary of.
Flynn is looking immediately for Cassandra because if Cassandra is asking for people to come here, that means Cassandra's in trouble and he's going to try to help her.
That's Luca's mentality. Something
Ben
going
is
on.
holding every ounce of energy not to rip a door off the handles if he's not let out of the back seat.
Oh, I'll let you. No, yeah, I will 100% let you out of the back seat because the child locks are obviously on. So, here you go, buddy. Come on out.
As soon as he barrels out, I'm immediately going to try to smell for Cassandra.
Fantastic. I'm going to have everybody who just said something. So I believe that'll be Flynn, Ben, and Luca. Me a wits and awareness check. Some of you looking with your eyes, others of you smelling with your nose, and others of you just attempting to take in the situation at hand. And Roz, arriving at the same time as Luca, I'm going to make a request of you. It'll be the same request I make of Flynn in just a moment, and that is, of course, for a hunger rouse check.
Could I argue for an investigation?
You say that again?
Can I argue for an investigation?
I'm thinking of a number between something and something doesn't work with two people. Okay. Odds or evens?
Evens.
Yes, you can argue for investigation.
Did you just pull your own hair?
Are we
I pulled a
supposed?
few
Okay.
arm hairs. It's something I
Okay.
haven't thought about since riding the bus in grade school. Playing odds, or
Wow.
didn't really have arm hair. I guess that must have been middle school. Anyways, yes, and it worked. It was a one-person method.
That was amazing.
Stop rolling brutals here. That's 5 successes, 1 brutal.
Ooh,
3
okay.
successes.
And Flynn, now arriving at the scene, if you could please make a hunger rouse check.
That's just the 1 dice, right?
That is correct. Roz,
Success.
going in the door. Success? How about yourself? Success. Perfect.
Success on a 6.
Now, not only the vampires, but everyone present smells blood upon entering. It appears as though, ghoul or not, to the blood loss from feeding or not, Jason is in a state where you can smell the death upon him, and that makes him an enticing meal because taking that final sip, whether it's from a full human or from a nearly dead human, still confers the final kisses consumption of a soul. And that is unfortunately rather appealing to most kindred. Both of you feel the tug of that blood, and both of you hear one of the voices in Flynn's head. Flynn, both of you hear voices. Flynn, you hear one of the voices in there, and Roz hears like, "Come on, just a little taste. You'll feel the power." And again, Flynn, it's very much. I can make a strong argument in favor. It's like, no, your argument is shit, but I can think of a good reason. And there's just multiple investigators all warring for this to happen. And you can always make the decision to see about increasing your power life by taking one more right now, but you don't feel compelled to do so. Flynn, with a 3, it's pretty obvious upon entering the space and denying your hunger that this place has literally been torn apart with not so obvious and obvious claw marks alike being wrought in the floor and across the stacks. But you can also see slumped behind the counter, difficult to make out, but obviously there, the forms of Cassandra and her ghoul, that ghoul who looks rather worse for wear. Luca, you get to the outside of the bookstore, you move to the door, and as it opens and people begin to file in, you sort of Mac from It's Always Sunny do an ocular pat down of the entire situation. And unlike Mac, who can't actually do that, you get a good sense of what's been bludgeoned, what's been torn, what's been shoved aside. You clock the 2 people in the back, somebody else can take care of them. You notice recent footsteps that appear to be claws gouged through partially torn apart sneakers, and you can follow a few of those claw divots in the ground because of your high rate of success on a difficulty that I mentally only calculated as 4, but gosh darn it if I didn't vocalize. Continues down the street to the south for at least another 20 feet before you can't make it out any longer. You don't see any other obvious tracks on the way out, but you can tell that at least one assailant was able to get away from the situation and is the likely cause of the 2 downed individuals in the back. And before I have everybody react, I get a retcon one thing I said a few minutes ago. McCreary fully showed up with everybody else. And when he sees Jason, he goes, "I need to get him to a hospital stat." And unless anybody needs anything from Jason in this exact moment, McCreary fully picks him up in his arms and starts heading for the door.
Flynn will go to Cassandra. Do you have any blood storage here somewhere that I can go get to help you out a little bit?
And I think being as Cassandra is so incredibly self-contained within this bookstore, like she has her. Okay, I see what happened. It's all the way up. Good. Okay, cool. I think because Cassandra's self-contained within this bookstore, she has her living quarters downstairs, in the basement. She has, she regularly hangs out on the bookstore floor, and she owns the building. Yes, she would have blood stored in several spaces, either in the employee, oddly enough, in the employee lounge, but also in the basement of her living quarters.
Whatever is closest, Flynn will go and get some just to help revitalize you a little bit.
And I'm gonna be mean for just the briefest of moments.
Mm-hmm.
This place has been ransacked, some of it more violently than in other ways. And as a result, we're gonna do what I did previously with a simple luck check. And I'm gonna give it 50-50 odds.
Oh boy.
Sarah, odds or evens?
Odd.
Okay. Cassandra, no pressure. Please roll 1d10 and let us know the
1d10.
result. Yep. Or any die. Literally any die. They're all even numbered. So
All right. I got a 10.
there is at least one unit of blood that will properly revitalize Cassandra. We'll say 2. For functional purposes, you're able to heal aggravated and most superficial wounds upon waking each day, but we can get you back to a state of 1 superficial wound alongside all of the other aggravated ones on this evening with assistance from that blood. So sure enough, Flynn, you find it. It's down in the private fridge, and it's right next to an assortment of what looks like clean canteens, hydro flasks, and other great means of storing blood without looking like blood.
Remembering the aversion Cassandra had to Flynn just drinking blood from a pouch like a Capri Sun, will find just whatever closest container and will transfer it into that. And if there's some kind of heating up element, whatever, to do this quickly, he'll heat the blood up. If not, he'll just take it in a cup.
So I have a question that I should know the answer to, but I don't. Vampires feeding off werewolves, that's a nope? Or is that a maybe?
It's funny you should ask, because if a vampire to feed off of a werewolf, it's like feeding from 2 humans at once while becoming aroused.
Mhm.
And it could actually accelerate the healing process a little bit. It's just very difficult for a vampire to want to stop. And more importantly, it allows a vampire, and I say allow because you're in a night in the middle of a war, to frenzy much more easily. So there's risks, but there's definitely positives to the situation.
Because completely honestly, I would have no problem sticking a metal straw in some place that will bleed well, and then I move the straw and they can't take any more. So I mean, if that's something that would be helpful, I
mean,
would love to.
Gross,
we
but
have
thank
have
you.
teeth too, so realistically, no. Flynn would
I mean-
Flynn would go for the blood to do it that way because that's the consensualist route, which is what he does.
Okay.
I'd also probably point out that it'd probably be very frowned upon within the guru willingly do that.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it's not like the
It's a faux pas.
And,
I mean,
and
also-
reminding you have a pack leader in your
Right
presence.
do I know that?
And an enforcer.
And an enforcer. Like you have 2 very strict
Oh.
characters.
Okay. Then I definitely wouldn't. I feel a little bad for calling you little bunny now.
Yeah.
It's it's why you almost got a door ripped off.
You just get
Yeah.
side-eyed from both
It's
from 2 fucking. Don't do it.
I'm sorry.
Flynn will come back with it just in a cup. We'll hand it over to Cassandra. What happened?
So I just want above table. Is Cassandra well enough to be able to take the cup from herself, or would someone have to like hold her up to drink a little bit?
Either way, Flynn is there to help.
I'll go ahead and state that if you were able to get back up the stairs, you can certainly hold a cup.
Okay.
But you can
So-
also welcome assistance.
So Cassandra's going to take the cup, and I don't know why she would. I think she would do this, but I think she would have her hand linger on Flynn a little bit, trying to get a sense of what Flynn is thinking, or what's going on in Flynn's mind. Because it's Cassandra, and she routinely wants to interfere where she doesn't belong.
That's a great question. What's going on in Flynn's brain right now? Because there's nothing going on behind my eyes. That's about how the day's going. I think you see Flynn, from the very little interaction you've had with them so far, is kind of hard to read. Partially, you would probably pin that on the Malkavian nature, but also like the flinches, the like twitching that you see that doesn't make sense, but like it's a just small thing that he just does all the time. I think you'd be able to tell there's a little bit of genuine concern of your safety because you're part of the team, whether you want to be or not. And just the reporter curiosity of shit just went down and I want to know.
Okay. So Cassandra's going to take the cup after getting that sense from Flynn and kind of smile to herself because she feels the concern, I guess juxtaposed to the curiosity of wanting to know. And then she's going to, as she drinks, she's going to very like slowly stand up, and you see that she's very disheveled. Her clothes are torn. There's blood everywhere, obviously. And she's going to look over at where are Ben and Luca standing together, or where's everyone standing in relationship to?
Luca would be walking back inside at this point. Looking at you, you were attacked by a Galler, were you not?
And as Lucas says that, you can everyone physically can feel Cassandra's anger, which she totally I guess holds close to her chest, but she is completely angry now. And then she turns and she looks at Ben and she looks at Luca and goes, "One of your children interfered in my store. One of your children attacked me, and one of your children has what's mine. I want it back."
Just wanted a quick break in the situation so that every guru in the scene could please make a rage check.
Again?
Oh, yeah.
At this point, Rosio would have taken a position near a window because while there doesn't seem to be anyone else in the house, she is very aware of it going on outside, just as a precaution.
So
Success.
my old brain forgets how to make a rage check.
Roll one.
Just
die.
roll 1d10 or one of your rage dice if you have those, and let us know the number. Tarzan, was that a 1?
One success, yeah.
One
Oh
success.
wait, do I have to roll 3?
You roll
or
one
just-
die
No,
for the
just one
rage
die.
check. Yep. All right.
Yeah, just the one success, yeah.
Okay. And
Like golf, the lower the better, right?
now, this is going to be a pretty fun opportunity for me. You awake, just like vampires awaken with 1 dot and hunger. Werewolves already wake up mad because who wouldn't be mad upon waking up in the modern nights? But each day you make another rage check. So let's count the one you clearly just biffed as you having had your start of day second point of rage. because I forgot this is your first time in the scene technically, and as a result, that would have been your introductory rage check. Now, please make another one, because
I'm sure it's
don't you
gonna be-
know you shouldn't be talking about Guru that way.
Oh, girl, I'm totally ready to go Midwest Bob on you. I'm so sorry, Kat.
I'm so sorry.
It is a 4 better?
You now have 3 dots in rage. Now,
3.
for the record, I'm going to go ahead and say that I've been male my entire life, so I don't know anything resembling the female experience, whether it's your personal identity or if you don't identify that way. But I have to imagine every woman alive experiences a certain degree of rage no man will ever understand simply by being alive, and that would probably be represented between 1 to 2 dots of rage being on your character sheet. Probably just the 1, because it's your static. I'm used to this.
Yeah.
And a 2 is much more, okay, say something. Fucking say something. I'm ready to go. I could actually stand to do this. And when somebody does say something, you do the mental coin toss of punch or sarcasm. Like punch, or I'm going to shout at you for a minute and then start walking. 3's actively seeking trouble without necessarily trying to incite violence. For most, you, however, are a child of, and I believe it's either the full moon or the new moon, as an Arun.
She's
For
Arun,
those,
yeah.
full.
you are easily angered
I don't
at
know what you're talking about.
3. And by the way, once again, that could be the female experience. I'm just not aware. But what I bring all of this up just to communicate that you can do whatever you want. It's just like on a D&D character sheet. If you write lawful evil, you don't necessarily have to make every decision based on a lawful
Right.
evil character's perspective, because we're all playing a game. But for the record, Wilco's pretty mad. And if I felt important to recognize the werewolves would probably be getting pretty angry as an accusation that one of their children had instigated all of the matters present in the bookstore. Thank you for this interruption.
So what to the other Garu in playing right now, what would be your go-to form for rage?
Oh. You're asking to rage monsters as is. That's not the safest thing to say.
Okay, it goes a little more on the feral side.
Okay.
I mean,
Usually,
actually, I think
natural
I will.
experience is Hispo, so
So okay. I think you know what? I think I will say as Hamid right now, depending on how this goes. But Cassandra, with you saying your child, you ever seen a Karen like wind up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I work. I
Yeah,
work
you get it.
for a
You get it.
municipality, of course.
Oh yeah. I
Yeah,
feel you.
yeah,
I feel
yeah.
you.
So
Yeah.
you,
Right. So Wilco starts coming towards you, and she looks like she's gonna be so. I don't know. She actually finds something like soft, like a blanket or something, to pick up, and like she's not gonna choke you with it. I promise. She's not gonna hurt you with the pillow. So she goes, "Oh, honey, you must have hit your head real bad because you're making a lot of accusations that you don't have much proof for right now, do you? Did you get their names? I bet you didn't. Does that mean you know who they are? No, that doesn't."
and Cassandra is going to, very Cassandra-like, try to, even though she's weak, try to pierce this rage-induced Garu's mind, in an attempt to show how angry she is, because 1, her touchstone is gone. 2, Jason has been taken to the hospital, rightfully so, but gone. Her bookstore, her haven, is trashed. There are Garu footprints, wherever, going out of the store, and she's been mauled by one, and she has been influenced by her sire's sire, which had, I think you said that he was like, you should be pulling on more power, and she is definitely leaning toward doing that.
Are you seeking to intimidate?
Sure.
Well then, Wilco, I would like you to
Yes.
prepare a dice pool based on the number of dots you have chosen for the attribute composure.
Okay.
And let's go with
I
thank
will
you
say
all
this.
for
I'm sorry.
Mhm.
I will say this. Cassandra's also pulling on her connection with the Fates and Nyx a little bit.
Sure. While
Totally
I contemplate
excited about
that,
this, by the way.
say it again.
I'm totally excited about this, by the
Oh,
way.
that's
Like,
beautiful.
as the player, this is wonderful.
If you're not having fun in this scene, you're not paying attention. I would like you to make composure, and I will allow you to choose between etiquette and streetwise, just as a means of like buffing yourself up to take on like being, intimidated. And as a result of what you are seeking to do, I would like from Cassandra. It's gonna be charisma, just as a force of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And intimidation. And I'm looking over your sheet really quickly.
Yeah.
As a
I'm
result of some of the
prone.
choices you made, I would like you to add an additional die. So let's get charisma, intimidate, and one extra die because you're channeling inward towards your background.
Yes. So let's do 2. So
And for what it's worth, Ben, you're watching, steaming heads off. And unfortunately, it doesn't just remind you of the most recent moot, it reminds you of most meetings that involve Guru.
So Ben would take a normal stance in this moment, not to push anyone, but knowing where this could go, he will go to his favored form at Hispo, just in case.
As everybody who has seen New Moon loves to recall, you bounce into your large wolf form and don't necessarily insert yourself into the situation, but you're present if needed. And I love seeing Sarah's face right now go, did you really just reference a Twilight movie? Okay. But I do believe we have a proper dice off. And Cassandra, Wilco, would one of you do the honors of letting us know the result of your roll first?
Yes. So you want to go first?
Oh no, I was just going to ask the dumb question because I'm old and I forget. Is it evens or odds, or is it above 6?
Okay. So 1 through 5 is a failure. So 6 through 10 is a success. 1 is technically a critical failure. There's rules for that if it's paired with another critical fail. And similarly speaking, 10 is a critical success, but only paired with another critical success. So it's pairs with reference to critical results. But 6 and up is a success. 5 and below is a failure. If you don't have a fancy die.
And any other pairs don't matter.
Not in this game in particular, but we can think of something for a different one that we make.
Okay.
I'm freezing over here, so we're going to do it the old-fashioned way.
You mean digitally freezing?
Yeah, digitally freezing. War. All right.
As they prepare to verbally roll at each other, Flynn, what are you doing?
He really shouldn't, but I don't think he can help himself. Because the two loudest voices that he'll probably be getting when he's in this store in particular are those detectives. And Flynn knew the reason Cassandra came here was to look at some books for some more information on things we were looking for. So while everything is happening and this tension's happening, it's like, no one's looking at me. He's gonna try to kind of sneak off and look for some books on anything that we're looking for, which is the Giovanni and some of the events that we've been having issues with. Maybe look into like any history on Clear Lake, since we got told it's a frequent body drop site.
Mm.
And I'm going to ask you to do something weird. Go with me on this.
I'm here for it.
You want to investigate and you want to be quiet about it, as opposed to first having you roll dex and stealth and then investigation plus some mental attribute. I'm just going to say that you can roll stealth and investigation as a single die pool, but I'm going to go ahead and give you the extra die that you gain from attempting to solve a riddle, because you are technically solving a puzzle by way of navigating this space in its current state. So forget your attributes, forget the rules of World of Darkness RPGs in their 5th edition for a moment, and instead combine the two skills, stealth and investigation. Build that die pool, contemplate it. We'll check back in with the people who are fighting, and then I'll look at the others. Cassandra, Wilco.
Yes.
Cassandra, you wanted to intimidate. Let's go with you first. How did that?
Okay.
What's your result at the moment?
So I have 3 in charisma, 1 in intimidation, plus 1 you gave me. I got 3 8s and 2 10s.
Okay, so that's already 7 successes, considered a critical. Now, Wilco.
Yes. Can I spend willpower to roll more dice or add things? How it works? And
You certainly may. And I will admit, one of my failings as a storyteller is I have yet to determine the blood surge equivalent for werewolves, but I do know there is something. So, what I'm going to allow for you to do,
okay.
if you wish, because I simply don't have the resources handy.
Isn't it a push for willpower?
Say it again.
Isn't it a push for willpower to re-roll up to 3 die?
You can reroll up to 3 die. That goes for all people in the World of Darkness, but vampires can also use something called Blood Surge, and they do a hunger check. Regardless, they get to succeed, but they do a hunger check. Whether they succeed or fail doesn't matter. They get to add an additional die to their attribute pool. And there's something that werewolves can do that can do something similar. So what I'm going to allow for you to do, Sarah, is assuming that the pool, how many dice do you have in your pool currently?
6.
6. Those are rage dice because you have 3 dots in rage at the moment. So when you roll, you would technically be rolling 3 rage dice, 3 skill dice, which makes for your total pool of 6. And you can re-roll 3, but they would only be from the regular dice, not your rage dice. So
Okay.
knowing that you're using standard dice, and we didn't discuss separating your pools before the session, I'm going to ask you how many successes you have currently.
3.
3. I will allow for you to re-roll 2 dice as
Okay.
opposed to 3, under the assumption that one of those successes or one of those failures likely would have been on one of your rage dice at least.
Sure.
And I'll tell you right now that your only chance to not be cowed is to get 2 criticals.
I got 1 critical. So I've got 5.
So, Wilco attempts a strategy often used by mortals outside of this game, where louder and faster means stronger. And Cassandra steps up, considering that you are in her territory, and she talks you down. And I will go ahead and state, Sarah, you'd be doing me a real favor if you would convey in some way, shape, or form that Wilco all of a sudden feels out of her depths, and maybe she shouldn't have been stepping to this very battered vampire.
Oh, and do you say anything, Cassandra, or are you just like laser beams?
So Cassandra does this thing, and she's done it to Corey. She's done it to Jason. I think she's done it to. I want to say she's done it to Tamsin, where when she was offered a drink, and Oh no, I think it was Flynn when they were gonna hand her a Capri Sun blood bag, and she just stared. So she
Yeah.
just stares at you, and with obvious like knowing look of like, I wish you would. I dare you.
Well, I mean, I don't really. It could be. I just it. I don't know. I don't know your background. I don't, I just really, I am frustrated because I feel like I am very important and you're coming at me with a lot of negative energy. And really, I just don't appreciate that. And I just,
Luca puts his hand on her shoulder.
I don't appreciate this. It's not, I just feel like sometimes, you know, I'm not coming here and saying,
And
you know what I mean? Like,
Cassandra's
it's just,
going
it's
to look at
absolutely,
Ben, and
it,
she's just gonna stare over at Ben and go, what she doesn't normally do, she usually gives him nicknames, but she's gonna go, Alpha, is this yours?
Thanks.
Now, are you talking Wilco or are you talking?
I'm talking about Wilco, yes.
She has been accepted in the tribe. Yes.
Remove her. And I'm gonna take a breath, which she obviously clearly doesn't need to do, but she just out of just theatrics.
Cassandra,
you get the biggest fucking eye roll for that.
the Garu don't make moves without consulting with their office. Whoever this Garu struck against you was not of our plan. So,
And now I'll interrupt you for just the briefest of moments, Luca. And much like how I asked Flynn to build a pool to stealthily investigate the scene simply as a means of finding any occult tomes that would help with the situation, if you'll allow it, I would like to auteur director that while this paltry squabble was happening, Luca might have been investigating a little bit further into the nature of the potential attacker that fled this place. Do you think
Yes.
Luca would take that duty on?
oh yeah, absolutely.
All right.
I mean,
And to
they
assist,
just committed a crime within the Garu culture. So yeah, he wants to ascertain the nature of who it is.
oh yeah. And as a result of that, I would like you, knowing that this is not necessarily your direct specialty, but I would like you to similarly give me I'll give you wits and either survival or investigation, unless you can rationalize something else, as a means of looking specifically at the tracks and any left behind elements from this invading guru. And we'll return, please.
While Luca is making that roll, Rosiel is going to interject herself between Cassandra and Wilco and just say, let's take a minute, ladies. To Wilco, she looks at her and says, I don't think we've met. I'm Rosiel. I wish we could have met under better circumstances.
Good.
Cassandra, you're
Very
hurt
nice
and
to
you're
meet you.
angry. Justifiably so.
Yes.
Drink.
but
Tensions
Someone
are
has
high.
invaded
We are not
my
enemies here.
haven. And she's going to walk away from Wilco. So supposedly Lucas still has his hand on her shoulder, and walk away from them and go toward the back of the store where she has a chair that she normally sits in, sort of like in a weird throne setting, oddly enough. And she's going to weirdly, unelegantly, because it's not a Cassandra move, because she's obviously been taxed, sit down. And she's going to say to Raziel, pretty much so hopefully only she can hear, and say, my touchstone. That's all she's going to say.
The boy?
And she says yes.
You see this look in Raziel's eyes, and for those who haven't seen her too closely, she has very unsettling pale blue eyes, like someone's carved out a piece of blue glacier ice. And it almost warms as much as a kindred's look can. And Cassandra, you can feel a sense of almost profound understanding that you might not expect.
And I think when she feels that, Cassandra's going to go, she's going to visibly calm a bit. She's not that anger, that I feel like that loss of humanity might have like dialed back a little bit. And her sire's voice isn't as loud in her mind.
And between the two of you, there's another moment of calming and bringing the energy down again so that you can get back to the matter at hand. We'll play around with time in this whole scene just a little bit by circling back to Flynn. Flynn, you were seeking some source of information while all of the attention was focused elsewhere in this space. What was the result of your stealth plus investigation +1?
So that was 2 criticals and 3 successes.
7 seems like a pretty auspicious success number that we've had for the last couple of minutes in this game. As a result of that, because I leaned into the notion of you being able to successfully find things and using the situation at hand to avoid notice in doing so, you are able to scour the stacks, and a lot of the books are on the floor, but you're moving quickly and efficiently with the experience and training you have through what looks like books that Cassandra stores as easy things for people to want to pay for and leave with. And then you can also spy the ones that are obviously kept as prizes and are treasured, and as such they're put on display so that she can revel in people wishing they could take those home with them, but are certainly not for sale. And in the time that it takes you to distinguish between these two different types of books, you're also able to notice, because of the 7, which is including a critical success, that there is something of a curio case. This, of course, being an occult bookshop, has to have curios. I mean, come on. And because of the raucous nature by which somebody or something tore through this place looking for something, you do notice what appears to be a false back in this curio cabinet. And moving over, reaching into the false back, and then shutting it to the extent in which you found it, you're able to pull out what actually appears to be a journal. It's immediately apparent that it's not Cassandra's journal, but it's a journal nevertheless, one in which Cassandra has been keeping for some time and either has or hasn't found the time to study. But you're able to steal away. And before we shift over to Luca, after which we'll be taking a brief planned break, you're able to get through the first page and realize you're looking at a collection of insights that may actually be from a non-kindred arcane source. One quick question for you before we shift over to Luca. How aware of mage society do you think Flynn would be?
I think he would be more aware than people might think he would be aware of them, because sometimes he will get odd requests from like small underground societies or papers or people who want information on certain things and know that he knows that he can get them. So I think he's interacted with the Mage Society a little bit, but not enough to like, yeah, I know a ton about these people, but like, yeah, I've interacted with them a little bit, but I think that's where he sits.
Oh, yeah. And I'll give you one thing for free. As an investigative journalist, you can already, once again, tell that this is not Cassandra's handwriting, but it appears to be old musings in the first page or so that you peruse before we shift over to Luca on ancient magics. And this is certainly something that if Cassandra were aware of you having in your possession, might not be the kind of thing that Cassandra would want you to have in your possession. Bearing that in mind and considering the ramifications, we move over to Luca. Luca, part of the investigation that you turned up, and for the audience and those at the table, Tarzan flashed a 5 at me. That was the exact difficulty I had yet to verbalize. However, Luca, you briefly began, while the squabbling was still occurring, taking a look at the patterns in the floor, patterns in the wall, checking on sources of or tufts of fur. And your first whiff at the fur is something that you cast aside. You're like, well, naturally in a vampire's haven, I'm going to smell unusual death. So this fur clearly isn't, it has been tainted by its surroundings. And then you look for more gouges, possible evidence of blood if fighting had happened in here, for you see, you still haven't heard a story of what went down. And although werewolves are hard to put down, they're certainly not immune to being wounded, even if in only a superficial way. But it's upon finding very specific patterns of claw marks, and upon finding the fourth instance of fur that smells almost dead, that a horrid suspicion comes upon you. And that's when you step up and you assist with bringing the fight down between Cassandra and Wilco. And very quickly, you continue along this line of investigation. And for the sake of the scene, before we go to a quick break, Luca, I'm going to have you, unless you don't feel that this would be in his nature, violate the sanctity of the haven by going halfway down the stairs to the basement. Now, following this scent in earnest, and when you come down here, although Luca doesn't know it yet, this is the scene. Guru had shifted out of its Hamid form, and you smell the distinct scent of something that all Guru hate above most other entities in this world, and that is of a stolen moon. For everybody present, stolen moons are werewolves, but they are those made by humans and other entities having skinned a Guru and are now wearing that skin upon themselves. With that in mind, we're going to take a quick break.
I hate you.
Wild.
And welcome back. Before we pick back up in that tumultuous moment, that interesting discovery, I'm going to actually surprise our player who had a brief moment of their backstory revealed earlier in the session by going back to Rome, Italy, specifically outside of, and forgive me, I don't know if it's Secchignola or Cecchignola, but it's a castle on the same reason in which the catacombs were that they explored previously, Garbatella. And Luca, you are probably 13 or 14 in this sequence. And it's not raining now, but it's misty at about 1 a.m. What sort of a weapon do you think Luca would be running around with 5-6 years further into his training under William?
Be rocking at least an M4 or AR style platform by this point, since he's a little bit bigger and able to handle it.
Absolutely. And do you think he is the type to refresh his magazine, knowing full well he only has about 5 shots left in the current one, or does he want to keep those in there because every shot counts?
You always start off an engagement with a fresh round. You can always fall back on low magazines for sustained engagement. So starting off any engagement, you start with a fresh mag.
Sounds good.
Switching it out, pouching, returning the low mag to a pouch, and then yeah.
Excellent. And even back in, I can't remember the year you cited previously, but I would imagine these would be the early 2000s, possibly mid 2000s for Luca. And the time doesn't matter because for the last 10 or so decades, this has been a tourist destination of sorts, being owned by the region. But that doesn't mean that it's not a location that isn't owned by significant figures in such a fashion that were you to show up after dark, you wouldn't be likely to run into creatures of the night. And sure enough, Cappadocia vampire remnants are all thought to be extinct, but every now and then a distinct Cappadocian comes out of whatever crypt it's been hiding in for the better part of 200-300 years, most of them wiped out by those other attack-driven vampires, the Giovanni, many of whom have been waging war, silently or otherwise, with you and your people in the Italian countryside for the better part of your whole life. As a matter of fact, it was likely Giovanni who ended your father's life some years back. And this night is no different. You just ended a brief exchange. There are 3 other Hamid appearing guru with you as well. Because this being a tourist destination that is at least partially owned by the city, it does have cameras in a system that has not yet been overcome by anybody from your tribe or from your clan. And as you approach the doors into the Castillo proper, you are catching your breath for a brief moment. What are your thoughts before entering, knowing that quite a few guru, your grandfather among them, may no longer be alive inside?
Luca is trying to refer to the training, not wanting to deviate, knowing that his grandfather is inside, potentially dead.
And
he's just focused.
And true to form, much of that training from an experienced rage-driven beast this last half decade has all been about directing that rage, whether you were in an internal strife against other guru, whether it was just over beliefs or just a minor territory squabble, if it was against those frickin' blank bodies, those licks, or some other creatures. Your grandfather's words have always been those of use the rage, don't let it use you. Some of your clan members are huffing and puffing, and not in a tired way. Yeah, you've all taken hits, but concentrating hard enough, you can push those pieces of lead back out and keep going. But you can tell some of them, who similarly have friends and loved ones potentially still inside, aren't handling it nearly as well as you. And directly to your right, somebody that you still work with to this day is a tall woman, probably a good 5'11" or 6 foot if she's been hunching this whole time, Juno. And Juno is reaching for the door, and you can see she's counting her breaths very quickly, shotgun in hand, and she's about to shove the door open. And you don't necessarily get the sense that she's ready for this engagement.
No, hang back. I'll take point from you.
And I genuinely didn't hear what you just said.
He said, Juno, hang back. I'll take point from here.
Because you understand, they took everyone. And you probably wince just a little bit because, yeah, gunfire has already alerted anybody who might be inside of your presence. But shouting next to the front door totally gives away your position.
Right. Control yourself. Remember what William has taught us. Control your rage. Don't let it control you.
And do me a quick favor. Consider your die pool, and we're just going to subtract 1 to represent the passage of time. But do me a quick favor, as I said a moment ago, and use leadership, which I don't believe you have any dots in, and composure. So that pool -1. Once again, just to represent the passage of time. Funnily enough, I believe that leaves you with 3, which is what we did to represent how young you were before. But I'll go ahead and state the difficulty here for storytelling purposes. Well, it's still 3. It's got to be 3. I'm sorry.
Any rage?
You most likely have at least 1 dot of rage. Yeah, you'd have to be to enter into a fight. No wise guru would do otherwise.
1. What the shit?
Your flashbacks aren't your friend. And
1 every time.
And the two of you have been sparring partners before. She is all offense, no defense. And she actually prefers to spar with you as a result of your style of fighting being something she stands to learn from, as opposed to what some of the other pack and tribe members do. So
Very
it's
dirty fighter, yeah.
It's not the first time you've ever received her forehead into the bridge of your nose as she pushes you back, ensuring that you won't be in her way. And she kicks the door in with 2 of the other wolves you're traveling with moving in behind her. And as she goes front and center down the line into this main entry hall, already firing the shotgun, the other 2 fan out on either side. And it's immediately a little bit of a bloodbath. The good news is all 3 people who've just entered are of the wolf. And even though bullets are finding their way into them, they're not taking them down easily. As a matter of fact, the individual who went off to her right is somebody else you've been working with for a while. Because I like Assassin's Creed and it came up before, Ezio. Ezio moves off to the right and he shifts immediately into Krynos, having emptied whatever weapon he was just using. And he goes tearing into probably more ghouls, but potentially now on the inside, some vampires as well. Are you getting up and following, or are you going to see about checking out a different means of getting into the Castillo?
With them creating a distraction, I think Luca is going to take this opportunity to exercise some of his stealth training and infiltrate from another point. Juno's more of a wrecking ball type, and Luca has been taught to surprise the enemy, not to confront them directly. So he's going to take another route.
And stealth is something that you are particularly good at. So much so, especially in this heightened state, that with a dice pool of 7, I would say that finding another means of entering this space successfully and getting inside without issue would meet the needs of you doing something called take half, wherein you can take your dice pool, reduce it by half, round down to 3, and a 3 would be more than sufficient for you to find another door on the side of the building to get inside unmolested. And that just helps us with the flashback moving forward a little bit more quickly. No need to roll unless you want.
Oh,
yeah. I mean, if you want to roll 7 die and you do better than 3, actually, you already had them ready. You do it.
Okay.
Let's rage.
That is, I have 2 crits, 2 successes.
That's 6 is much better. So, with a 6, you are able to subdue another individual as you make your way around to the side near the back. And as you come in through what's very apparently sort of like a service entrance, which of course has where they're meant to hang up their coats, stow their dirty shoes, and then enter through a workspace that's near to, but not fully, the actual full kitchen. You similarly find no opposition, and you find yourselves at a space where you can either head into the house proper, either passing dining or live like parlor style spaces before undoubtedly coming upon the same fighting happening with your companions, or there's means of going either upstairs or downstairs.
Where and which direction would this mission that William has taken lead him?
Because this is a flashback, I'll indicate to you that it's not uncommon for Giovanni held spaces to expand much greater than they appear they would downward. So you know that the basement is most likely where you want to go.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Listening to Juno and the others, seeing how they might be faring before moving on, does it sound like they're holding their own, or does it sound like they need backup?
Please give me resolve, and I'll give you investigation because you're looking for fine details.
All right. That is 3 success.
3 isn't sufficient for you to get a good bead on the whole situation, but you're still hearing the roar of gunfire and the roar from your actual Krynos form companion at the moment. And you get the notion that there would either be more rage or less shooting if any of your companions went down. So even though you don't know the full specifics, you're at least under the assumption that none of them have fallen.
Okay. Then Luke is going to push forward, let them handle that situation.
Phenomenal.
Heading downstairs.
Now, opening up the door to go downstairs, unfortunately, you're immediately met by a trap. And this comes in the form of it's a fucking lick. But this is one of those insane ones that they've allowed to go full frenzy. I would like you to either get your arms up in front of you to be ready to punch or attack back or dodge. It's your call if you want this to be dexterity or strength and brawl, if you wanted to actively take the hit and be poised to attack back, or I need dexterity and athletics to attempt to dodge out of the way.
We'll do dodge because Luca likes to fight at range. He doesn't do close-up combat.
Perfect.
Dexterity, athletics. Good. Three successes, 1 critical.
3 successes. Okay. Is that included in the 3, or does that make 4?
4 total.
4. Okay. 1 moment, please. I should have been rolling. All right, very fittingly, I only received 2. So this creature, who appears to have whatever form of blood is necessary to have formed claws, literally rakes down at you, and they're able to take off any of the ancillary features that you had attached to your AR-15 platform. The weapon is still functional, but any additives that you had added, that you'd put on, whether it be like laser scope, what have you, all the fancy stuff people like to shell out money for but isn't necessary, is stripped away as the gun goes in front of you. And as it misses its attack, you buff it back in such a fashion that you can probably use a couple of well-placed rounds to put it down.
Yeah, and then he'd follow it up once he rolls back enough. He lights them up.
Excellent. That's something that you're exceptionally good at with respect to the other players and the nature of the flashback scene. I'll state that it's not difficult for you to cripple and put down this frenzied vampire. You've been taught over the last half decade where to shoot and how many times to shoot, and if it's not dead, it's at least in torpor. You head down the stairs. There are a few other points of humanoid resistance, which are similarly put down with ease. And a miniature campaign to yourself proceeds, as wherein you encounter the genuine infrastructure of the home. And then, of course, there's the warrens under the home that have clearly been added or were expanded upon from what rich persons operating the Castillo had done hundreds of years prior. And it takes about 10 minutes of personal fighting for 2 of the guru from above to catch up. Unfortunately, Ezio has passed, but your other 2 companions are still with you. And as a trio, you proceed over the ensuing 20 minutes through a long series of labyrinthian tunnels with dangers in such a fashion that unfortunately the yet to be named guru is similarly taken. This leaves you and Juno eventually in a conflict against 4 older but not elder Giovanni vampires. Do you know if in a conflict, which for story purposes you would ultimately succeed in alongside Juno, you would ever shift into other forms, or would you continue to put your firearms display on prowess as you take them down and see who might still be ready and able to be rescued?
Predominantly, he uses his Hamid form until he's pressed to switch to Krynos. Krynos is his last ditch effort to uh, eliminate a threat.
It's liable to be the case, having faced off against the subterranean Giovanni, that such a push would have come for two different sources of ire would be present. One, these are old enough Giovanni to know not only how to raise the dead as zombie-like servants, but to also weaponize wraiths who are difficult for you to combat against in Hamid form with Hamid weapons. And two, regrettably, near the center of this labyrinthine structure, both probably from the original Castillo construction and from further kindred intervention into the earth below, you would eventually find what appears to be a ritual space where 6 Guru lie dead, being bled dry for some form of ritual or empowerment, William included.
That would send him. That would definitely send him.
This is a terrible scene that you're left in thereafter. Wounds that obviously have no effect on the current story are undoubtedly laid upon both you and Juno in the act of taking down these older Giovanni and whatever thralls they might have raised against you, whether corporeal zombie-like machinations or spiritual ones, occasionally even those of the triot and not just wraiths of those who have passed beyond. But at the end of it all, you're left once again at the center of a bloodbath. As kindred vitae begins to dissolve, you can't help but take in just the pure wickedness of whatever ritual was at play, one in which you cannot ask about, because when two Krynoses come together, there's no one to ask questions of. But it's unmistakable that these kindred already granted some form of unlife and a degree of unmistakable power that may not rival your physical forms in that moment when you brought them down, is still something to behold. Still felt the need to steal further life from an additional 6 Guru to further whatever machinations you may not understand, but did seem necessary.
And with that, yeah, he's probably going to do it once. I would probably assume he's in a frenzy, and would eventually, once he calms down, he's looking into what they were doing here, what William was sacrificed it for.
Mm-hmm. It's possible the Castillo is not available for tours for quite some time for a number of reasons, is what it sounds like.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I would like to bring us back to the present day by asking you for a rage check, because Stolen Moons suck.
Yes. Yes, they do. That is one success.
And remember, it's only one die, but that means you're still in control of that anger. Lessons that have been won over the last decade plus from that moment. And everybody else back out in the bookstore, you still undoubtedly would hear a fist against a wall or a grunt or some other means of anger being expressed down the stairs. I'm going to have literally all 6 of you speak at once if you want, or anybody who's ready to react. What is everyone doing?
Cassandra is hyper focused on the fact that her bookstore is destroyed. So with all these new people walking around her store, she is uncomfortable. So yeah, so she's obviously clearly more comfortable with Roz because they had that connection after she spoke about Corey. But she has since been very aware of everyone walking around her bookstore, touching things. And she has since hyper focused on Flynn and hears simultaneously Luca coming upstairs, knowing that he's been in her personal space, I'm assuming. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah, Luca comes up the stairs, knuckles bruised, with clenching a fistful of fur, and holds it up to everyone in the room, eyes locking onto Ben for the first time, fully acknowledging him. We have a stolen moon on our lands.
What?
You hear this is the first time now. Guru know what this means, but vampires have probably not heard this. This is a full-sized hispo giving off a howl in a room. Sadly, I have a feeling this is going to happen, and I apologize early for this, Cassandra, but every single window in that place shatters.
Do we all want to do that?
That's your choice.
If
But
you all howl,
Ben is
yeah.
pissed.
You know what? Yeah.
No rage check needed for Wilco or Ben. This is your first time howling tonight, and it's in rage, and the moon is out. As a result of that,
fine.
you both take an additional point of rage, which I think
Jesus.
puts Sarah at 4.
And Ben's at 3 because I rolled for rage while I was in the vehicle.
Yep. Sarah, I don't even know how to describe 4 rage off the top of my head. Just know that like you're one short, like you still feel like you need to be
Get some
semi-respectful in the place you are as a result of being cowed by Cassandra. And even though we took a break, the effects of that should last the entirety of the scene. The scene has not ended, but if not, for being put in your place and knowing at least to be respectful enough to maintain, the traditions established by Guru Society, you would potentially be going, just windows, buddy, and pushing the building over out of sheer anger, nothing personal.
Yeah, exactly. I think this is definitely Wilco just howls and just stalks back to her car and just puts on Britney Spears or something. I don't know. But
Must find comfortable.
Luca turns to Cassandra at this point with the tuft of fur in his hands. This is a violation to the Gauru. It is somebody who has either taken skin of a Gauru and placed it upon themselves. Do you know of anything that could lead to that? Anybody that has taken interest in the Gauru?
And Cassandra is still keeping her awareness on Flynn, obviously, but also now extra annoyed because more destruction in her bookstore. Not what she wants. She's going to be I do not care for whatever that is. It's invaded. It's taken. It is taken from me. It's taken my things. It has taken my texts. It has taken. Corey is missing.
As
And
you state those angry thoughts, if you want to, I would love to give you a chance to roll intelligence and occult in case there is more you should know about these stolen moons. You are, after all, an ancient researcher.
yeah. So you said what in a cult?
Intelligence and occult.
All right, let's see what happens in the app.
As she's doing that, Ben, though angered, is going to walk up when she says she's taken Corey. Look at the other two. Say, is there anything that she has of his that we can track? And you just hear barking and growling from Ben.
In interpretation of that, Luca turns to the others. Rose, then, have you seen or heard of anybody that has taken a particular interest in the Gauru? And do we have a means of tracking this Corey? Something physical.
I'm not hearing much of anything at all. Oh. Would she have? Would that be a role of some sort, dear storyteller?
Yes. And I was bouncing between sheets. Roz, you can actually make a similar check. It would either be intelligence and occult, simply by way of knowledge you would know about the Werewolf Society, or you could potentially also, leaning more into who your character is, make it an intelligence, or no, I guess wits and streetwise. So either intelligence and occult, or wits and streetwise, and whichever one you choose will determine the information you may have depending on your success. And Cassandra, really quick, the difficulty for stolen moon knowledge is it's semi-protected in Guru Society, so we're going to go with one of my favorite difficulties of 5. And Roz, you're new to Portland, but not necessarily super new to the Pacific Northwest, and as a result, I will give your difficulty either I'll say right now it's either going to be 6 for the occult and intelligence, or it'll be a 4 for the wits and streetwise.
Right.
It'll be a 6 for occult and intelligence. Let's see how it goes.
Cassandra has 4 in intelligence and 4 in occult, and I rolled 2 9s, 3 8s, 2 7s, and a 3. You got hello? Hello? No? Okay, try again. I rolled 2 9s. Can you
Unless
hear
I counted wrong, that sounds like 7 successes.
Yes, it is.
I can now.
Okay.
Cool. Let's go with that. 7 successes. And then, in case I can explain the 2 bits of information sort of at the same time, Roz, you chose the challenge with the difficulty of 6. How did you do?
Only 2 successes.
And if you wanted to, you could either, or I guess, Blood Surge wouldn't get you the number of dice needed. If you wanted to, you can roll a willpower, or you can save the willpower for something else.
I'll say that I only have a pool of 5 dice for that roll,
Sounds good.
so we'll leave it be.
You would need a crit. Got it. Ross, really quickly, just because I love acting, if you want to communicate that unfortunately you haven't heard too much, then I'll explain what Cassandra would know and potentially be willing to share.
We haven't been in town long enough, I think, and we've been spending more time with the kindred than anything else. I'm not too familiar with the groups of Guru out here.
And as you contemplate that response and other potential means of communicating, because so far Ben's request to gain help in finding something that would allow for the group to track down Corey has only been heard by Wilco and Luca. Cassandra, you certainly are aware of these stolen moons, and a part of it is actually as a result of, as a Malkavian, you probably having a fixation on anything relating to the moon at some point, because Malkavians themselves are commonly known as moon children. Stealing the moon would be interesting if you had ever found yourself in all of these lifetimes experiencing hyperfixation driven by psychosis or interest. Of course, you would look into stealing the moon, only to find that it is often a practice that ultimately twists the individual who takes upon themselves not just the donning of a wolf cloak, but the ritualistic nature by which one must bind themselves to the wolf cloak. It is not something somebody does by accident. And from what you've learned, either from Guru themselves or studies of Guru culture, they are usually able to be scented, much as the one that Luca has cottoned onto by way of scent for who had violated your sanctum. And as a result of their being able to be tracked, it's an interesting thing for someone to take on voluntarily, because it's not usually a status people maintain for long, as Guru society generally seeks to destroy them as quickly as possible. The too long didn't read version of all of that is one does not enter into that state lightly, or at the very least, if they're tricked into it, it must very much so be voluntary. And stolen moons don't tend to last long unless they're fast and smart, not one or the other.
Cassandra, knowing all of this, is going to suddenly just stand up, How much blood? Has she drank all all the blood at this point? So what's her move like? What's her health like?
So I believe you have a total pool of 5 for your health. Is that correct?
Yes.
For story-driven purposes, I put you to 4 aggravated and 1 superficial damage simply by having fed enough on Jason to not kill him, but to bring yourself back into a state of ugh. And I'll
Right.
say aggravated damage takes time to heal. Having
Right.
fed as much as you have, let's get you down to 3 aggravated and 2 superficial. And what you can do for yourself, this is something that you normally do upon waking. If you want to do so, let's have you make a rouse hunger check, and let's see if we can, in fact, convert one of those aggravated back downward.
Okay, so arouse hunger. I'm just gonna roll because the app is not working for me. So that's 2 dice.
1 die.
1 die. I think we're making up these rolls are making up from last time. 7.
Speaking of making up, I'm sort of twisting the rules right now. So making up is totally fine, even if it means you're creating stuff on the fly, or if you're making up
Oh no, I
for
mean
bad rolls previously. No,
making up
yeah,
from last time because last
yep.
time we were not rolling well.
Last time is what led you to the current state of health you're in.
Oh
Yes.
yeah. So we're on
Let's call
this
that.
is 7.
Oh yeah. Let's call that sufficient because you're really not supposed to be able to heal aggravated damage until you like
Yes.
wake up the next day. Let's bring you down to 2 aggravated and 3 superficial, and that'll do it for healing at the moment. Unless once everybody starts leaving, you go, "Hey Wilco, I had a cool thing I wanted to show you upstairs. Just Wilco," and you take them up on feeding on that guru blood. But for now, you are where you are.
Okay. So being as health wise where she is, she's going to stand up. Her movements aren't elegant or controlled, they're more erratic. And she's going to still staring at Flynn, but clearly addressing the guru in the room. She's going to say, artifacts are gone. My touchstone, my anchor, gone. Years of planning destroyed. Things has vanished. Your alpha just destroyed more. And now you tell me an abomination is responsible for this. Which leads me to believe that you are now, I'm going to say that you're responsible for fixing it, for finding my things and finding my touchstone.
Get one thing straight here, Cassandra. We do not answer to you. But you can rest assured that the stolen moon will be dealt with. Now, I need you to answer my question. Do you have anything we can use to track Corey with?
She's going to, I think she would have something of Corey on her. Or obviously Corey works in the store as well, so there's probably stuff of his in the employee lounge.
From what I recall, he lives upstairs as
and he
well.
also lives upstairs. So she would say, and she's gonna slip a little bit. She's gonna say, my Corey lives upstairs.
Turns his attention to Ben.
Ben's not going to. I mean, Ben's holding back, but he's not just going to barrel up a set of stairs in a full Hispo form. He's going to stand next to Cassandra and very nicely, in a 3 rage state, nudge with a large wolf fed to move so he can, and he'll follow.
Cassandra's going to look down at this huge, massive creature.
Massive ball of fur. Let's just call it what it is.
Massive ball of fur is standing next to her. And she's going to, for the first time, the entire night, genuinely smile and go, God, you're lucky I like you, Moonchild. And slowly walk up the stairs.
And he will just walk behind her.
Well, yeah. Sorry. Go ahead, Wilco. I had a different screen up.
No, that's fine. That's fine. Is there a World of Darkness equivalent of graffiti that'll tell somebody? Oh wait, are we allowed to swear? Can we swear?
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Okay, cool. Is there like a World of Darkness symbolism or like graffiti equivalent that says "fuck off"? We're protecting this place because if I can,
Marking.
yeah,
Yeah, we have means of marking. Yeah.
We could do
because
that.
I'd
It's not
like to do it
appropriate,
on
though.
this building, and like
Right.
I don't. But would that imply possession?
Yeah, Cassandra wouldn't like that.
Right, and I don't want to do that. I don't want to be like, yo, this is
'Cause-
ours, but I just want to like,
Yeah,
it's under protection.
Kindred and Garu don't mark territories intertwining usually. It looks like.
For what it's
All
worth, if you're being considerate to each other because you know each other, that's one thing. But the greater population of Guru and Kindred, whilst coexisting very much so in the Pacific Northwest the way that they do, still don't fully recognize each other's claims to territory. So a good example, the very large forested park region named Forest Park in the western side of Portland, for quite a while was the uncontested domain of Shar, the Gongrel primogen to the city of Portland. But it was simultaneously the uncontested Tory of no fewer than 3 tribes of Garu. And whilst they were battling it out either directly or indirectly with each other, they were simultaneously dealing with the invading kindred to the space, who themselves had to deal with all of the invading dogs. Do you see where I'm going with this? So
we don't care usually.
you can imply to other Guru that this spot is claimed. We peed on the wall. Fuck off. And Kindred might see that, hiss, attempt to pee on the wall themselves, realize that they can't pee anymore, and just be mad and walk away. Does that make sense? I'm so
Okay,
glad.
no, it does. It does. But so it sounds like there's not a way to really do it without implying we want ownership of it. Okay.
But with you at 4 rage, you might not give a shit.
This is true.
Ooh,
This is true.
Just say.
this is very true. I'm so sorry. I'm gonna do something stupid. And that will be the first of many times I'll say, I'm so sorry, Cassandra. I'm so sorry. I'm a pee on your building.
Thankfully, Cassandra
I
is
can't.
muted, so we
I
can't
can just
hear it.
feel the like. I'm so sorry.
Sam is currently doing the thing she says Cassandra likes to do, but she's smiling, whereas Cassandra would just be probably like straight face. She's just looking at you.
Oh no!
She's also muted, so we can't hear whatever she's saying unless she wants to be muted.
I know.
No, I think Cassandra's gonna be like, really wouldn't do that for you. I mean, she wouldn't say that. Obviously, she wouldn't say that out loud.
Right.
But I think once she finds out, it would not be good for anyone.
All that I would imagine would happen right now is that Cassandra going upstairs would think, "Did this one next to me pee?" Although let's be forthright, the actual act of marking the way that she wants to wouldn't include peeing unless she wanted it to. So
Yeah.
No, I'm more thinking of like just the sides of the building, the alley of the building. Okay,
And,
I'm
yeah.
at 4 rage. It's not gonna
Maybe
be fucking subtle.
maybe I'm just saying, as Samantha, maybe Luca's gone.
No, he's coming back. He's flickering in and out.
Okay, we can wait a second.
He's really
He is
flickering in and
frozen
out.
despite being back.
It's a pretty hilarious face to
Thriving.
be frozen on. Not gonna
It's a
lie.
great smile on his
I don't
face.
see anything.
Arriving.
Someone just clip that and like crop it and add it as a sticker in the Discord.
I think there he is.
I think he's coming back. There he is.
There we go.
Love it. Now
So,
my computer's being funny.
Yeah.
That's right. normally I would try to do something like this with care and a little bit of tact, but I'm really angry, so
Yeah.
that's
And
probably
I
gonna
think
So-
happen.
Cassandra would say, upon seeing this about to happen, would say,
I'm not doing it inside. It's only outside.
It's.
Oh,
I was
so
about
you
to say
wouldn't have
you
even
don't
seen
see
okay,
this
yeah, so she
happening.
wouldn't see, yeah, she wouldn't see this. Okay, so she wouldn't,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean,
She's the
unless you
leader.
wanna.
Yeah.
So,
Well, we're
and by the
heading
way,
up the
what I'm
stairs.
picturing right now, at least this is what I'm picturing. And Sarah, please tell me if I'm getting it right or I'm wrong.
course.
But
Yeah.
what would normally work really well is blending in marks that would be obvious to Guru alongside other graffiti that obscures it and makes it not even a point of interest to others.
Oh, yeah.
Or working it into a greater piece of art that uses the symbolism directly, but puts it in a context that once again only means something to those who are in the know.
Yeah.
But one commonality to both of these tactics that you could either lean into or do something else entirely is you can make it clear, because there's not one unifying Guru symbol, but you can make it clear that Bone Nars are watching over this space. Don't fuck with this space. And especially in your state of anger, you wouldn't consider the notion, well, most of the pack are actually, well, I guess most of the pack, no, we're not all in one tribe. Fuck those other tribes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like they're busy doing whatever is in there. I'm the one who's actually looking out for the fucking building. So I'm just, yeah, it just claw, nom, claw.
You are a Nar, so that's not unusual.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Like now it just like it. There's a corner of the building that probably looks like a dog got at it now. Like,
Oh.
yeah,
So-
I'm just basically making it clear this is not a place for anyone to fuck with anymore.
And we'll see what's going on with Clifford the Big Red Dog and Emily Elizabeth up in the upper floors of the space in just a moment. But Roz, Flynn, and Luca, they've begun the process of heading upstairs. And before we highlight that, what's going on with the three of you?
I think because of the 7 successes that I had, I don't think Cassandra saw exactly what Flynn was doing, just that he's been wandering around looking at stuff. And he wants to keep it that way because he's going to try to not permanently steal the book, but wants to have more time to read through it when Cassandra's not watching him, so he's less likely to get in trouble for it.
Do you want to try something batshit crazy?
Do it.
Yeah. Okay, I'm seeing a certain degree of enthusiasm. I don't know if this has been made clear on this program yet over the last 2 episodes, including this one that you've been included in, but you are not a singular investigative journalist. You are, in fact, numerous investigators of many types, all crammed into a single undead body.
Mhm.
And as a result of that, would you like to make a check to see if any one of your internalized voices and personalities has a photographic memory?
Absolutely, I would.
Phenomenal. What I'm going to do then is I'm going to set an enormously high difficulty
Sure.
because naturally, it's not a trait that you've chosen for yourself. I'm not even sure if it's available anywhere within the World of Darkness books, but I'm going to have
Yes,
you.
it is actually, but
Is it?
I think so.
rad.
Yeah.
Hey,
I think it is. I just don't think it's something I had access to when I built the character. Otherwise, I would have taken it.
oh, for
It-
sure.
That might not even be vampire or werewolf. It might be like changeling or something. But
Yeah,
yeah.
it's
like
somewhere in the world of
Mage the
darkness.
Ascension or Mage the
Yeah.
Awakening seems like a good fit. But anyways, it'd be a weird thing for a changeling, but also not because they have to fixate on stuff. Now
Mhm.
I'm getting ahead of myself. What I would like for you to do, and you don't want to set you up for too much success. Come on. Let's have you do resolve. Because this is a internalized matter, and that is a good stat for you, I believe. Let's go resolve and awareness. So again, I'm not setting you up for too much success. And what we're doing now is you're like looking inward, you're stealing yourself, and I guess no, let's go insight, just because I said looking inward. So this is gonna be resolve and insight, and you're taking command of the numerous voices. Because let's be forthright, if Flynn is picturing right now that there are probably like 2 to 3 that they regularly take notes from, there's at least 5 more who want to get their input out there, and then at least another 3 to 7 who are just kind of like, we're happy just to hang. So the catalog that's present, unless you feel differently about Flynn, is vast and large enough that right now you're going, okay, who can I ask to look at this and know it? If I flip through these pages really quick and have to refer back to it later, that'll be way less obvious than pulling my camera out right now and trying to get as much of it as I can.
I can also like see like some of the ones who don't talk very much and are more like, we're just happy to be here, being the kind of people that just have like intellectual debates in the back of his mind with other voices for no reason than they can.
I'm pretty sure one of those voices alongside the other has solved some of those like unprovable math problems that you get like $10,000 for solving. But they, you know, they don't have a means of speaking up and they're happy just to do the work.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
We'll put that on your rumors sheet, which I forgot to open before the session, but it's been too juicy already without the rumors. So
5 successes.
You know, everybody, I did that thing that I do occasionally where I didn't actually state the difficulty. And
You
as a
didn't.
result, I'm going to call 5 sufficient because previously in this episode, I said one of my standbys is 5. So that said, can you tell me 3 descriptive words about the personality that comes forward and is like, yeah, I can do that?
I'm trying to think of what century I want this individual to be from. Victorian.
Natch.
Cockney.
Cool. Damn it.
Honestly, they just feel like a smartass to me.
Male or female or neither?
Dealer's choice.
All right. Well, who's familiar with Pygmalion? Eliza Doolittle. Also, My Fair Lady, I believe, was.
Yep.
I can't remember off the top of my head the actress's name, but it is a story of a woman who goes rags to riches. Like they train her into high society, coming from, and you said Cockney, more of that style of origin. And as a result, she talks just a little bit like this, and a voice along those lines goes, and it just a problem that I can solve. Which, for those of you who didn't quite catch that as a result of my mic picking it up poorly, I said, in it, just the sort of problem I can solve. And sure enough, you get the notion that if you flip through the book as quickly as possible, you will have somebody who speaks in that volume and register and intonation be able to read it back to you as needed.
I think instead of just like as quickly as he can, he'll take like a second to really get a good look at every single picture to like solidify it in the memory. And he will try to pick up on keywords or phrases that he's finding, and like quickly like scribble it in his notepad after he's flipped through the book, and then we'll put it back where he found it before Cassandra comes back downstairs.
You best believe we're going to try to resolve that with a die roll, but not yet. Roz, Luca, before we go upstairs, what are y'all doing?
Roz has taken a moment to text her bandmates the bubble tea emoji and prayer hands because she is hurt and unfortunately she can't indulge in any of the current blood supplies Cassandra would have. So she's just fired that off for later reference and wanders over to Luca just to ask, what else did you see downstairs?
Good question. What else did I see down there besides the blood and gore?
She says as she's making her way downstairs.
Of course. You know, that being the case, I'm actually going to ask the other Sam to be the storyteller for a moment and describe to us what that apartment should look like when it's not torn asunder and make any modifications you may feel would be needed to hide anything obvious. And if they do want to try to find stuff, I will once again refer to you should they roll sufficiently high to discover secrets. So if you'd please.
So the basement area is a 3-bedroom living room, dining room, kitchen. It's huge compared to the rest of the building. Like it should not exist in the space under the building, but somehow it does. Sort of like the TARDIS, um, because it's bigger on the inside. So it's very put together, very like modern, like kind of like cold. There's marble floors, leather uh, furniture. Everything's before this happened was well placed exactly where they needed to be. Nothing was out of place. To the point that if things were taken or missing, she would instantly know. Pictures, uh, there wouldn't be a safe behind a picture. The safe would be someplace um unknown, like in a couch or something weird, or a coffee table that it wouldn't be obvious. Um, the fact that it's been ransacked is the absolute antithesis of what it should be.
Now, with those thoughts in mind, Roz, you come down into the space, and sure enough, if you were to spend just a brief moment considering the possibly decent interior decorator sensibilities that Roz would have, whether or not it's an actual proclivity of hers or if it's just innate as a toreador, you can get a good sense of what the space should be like when it resumes its normal order. Luca, did you come down as well?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Unfortunately for
Sandra's
you,
distracted, so yeah.
no, you're good. Unfortunately for you, but with no ramifications that have to do with me asking you to do things with dice, that scent of the stolen moon is practically the only thing that you can passively focus upon. Any other action
Right.
you want to take down here will come at a bit of a deficit as a result. But Roz, I'm going to have you lead the scene for just a moment. You walk down. Why is it you wanted to come down here?
Mostly to get a lay of the land of what actually was downstairs. And this could just be a Dia thing. I cannot recall if we discovered last session what they were actually after, or whether it was just Corey was gone, we don't actually know. Because if it was just to abduct a person, she was wondering why go through the effort of ransacking an entire domain.
Yeah, I would say that probably would have been Luca's also focus, was to discover the origin of the reason the Silent Moon was here.
And it'll be the latter. What it is they were looking for is an interesting thing upon which you can focus here, because that's not a detail your group has come to be aware of yet. The obvious thing, of course, being they came here to, well, I guess it's not so obvious. Did they come here to take Corey, or did they take Corey because he was here? So
There's something.
Sorry.
Go ahead. I was just gonna. Just curious if there's anything you see that my eyes could not see.
I'm gonna be
is there a
honest,
question in that? Yeah.
I did not catch that at all.
Sorry, I guess my gate is up too loud.
It didn't pick it up too much.
1 second, let me fix my noise gate. There you go. Just curious if there's anything your eyes see that my eyes do not.
In this trail of carnage downstairs, does it seem like they were targeting specific areas in particular? Like, for example, some people hide safes, as mentioned behind picture frames of a lot. Does it look like they were targeting storage areas?
Yes. On the surface, it definitely looks as though the key areas of focus were drawers, cabinets. If there's anything built down here, like a walk-in closet or with an open or shut door situation, all of those are torn out, pulled out, whipped open. Just to help you out, though, let's have you make an intelligence and investigation check as well. And as you roll those, Wilco, you're out on the street. Did you pee on the wall?
No, but I did lick it.
You know, that is just one extra element. If you were feeling mad about being shuttered, if you will, in front of the group. That would be a little bit of defiance. That's less disrespectful than peeing, I suppose.
Less smelly, at least. Hopefully.
Oh yeah. And you possibly have a little bit of like that self-conscious, ah God, did anybody see me do that moment? And as you sort of like look back away from the side of the building, you do see there appears to be an individual who has that like noir movie auspiciousness most of the way down the rest of the block, leaning against a pole, definitely facing in your direction. And the only thing lit about them is a cigarette in their mouth. Again, possibly going way too far into like a noir film role.
I run to get him.
That is what the 4 rage would do. I'm so proud of you. And you haven't used willpower yet, I believe.
No.
Okay. Tarzan, for everybody, Tarzan, who plays Luca, asked me in a chat, hey, how do you get willpower back? And a good answer is do what your auspice would do, is one of the means by which it can be accomplished. And Wilco is in Arun. Arun is shoot first, ask questions later. So had you lost any willpower, you'd have gotten one back right then as a result of being like, oh, fuck yeah, something to do, and just running. And let's get to that in just a second. Roz, you had rolled dice. You are muted, my friend.
Would it be useful to also have activated Sense the Unseen, as Luca specifically worded, do her eyes see anything in particular?
Yes, and thank you for reminding me I didn't set the difficulty. All the obvious things are that it seems like they were going for storage spaces. If you wanted to get any additional details, I would like a 6 or higher.
Roll dice. That was only a 2. I did not have many dice in that pool.
Got it. So not worth your
3.
while to blood surge or willpower. Got it. Okay, cool.
That was a solid 3 in a pool.
And what I'll say there is, with things having been strewn about in such a way, you don't see any cushions having been torn apart, so they're not doing like full-blown drug search. There's not any obvious like attempts to get into walls, and there's unfortunately too much debris spread around, which will really upset Cassandra because the next time she's down here, it won't be in a fury, and it won't be to fight somebody immediately, and she'll fully get to see just how fucked up everything is. But it's difficult to make out any focus of the search beyond they were looking in obvious storage spaces. And while you both contemplate what you'd like to do next, and please feel free to use chats to do so, we go finally upstairs. Ben, you've been supporting Cassandra on her way up as she's been in an injured state, and she's a slight enough undead woman that the two of you could go side by side in your huge wolf form. But you arrive up here, and there are 2 closed doors indicating 2 living spaces. One that Cassandra would know would be representative of Jason's and Corey's, respectively.
So Ben would, first off, knowing that she is in a weakened state and have been asked kindly to help, he would not forcefully push past. He would have waited. He would have been behind her. This is her cairn is how he would see that and not want to disrespect it without just dealing with the whole didn't realize that, when you howl really loud, windows shatter, which he'll probably apologize for later, but right now it's not the time. And he'll just wait as you're staring at 2 doors.
And Cassandra's going to ignore Jason's door because, as far as she's concerned, Jason has done what he needed to do for her. He's her ghoul, so she's just like, he did his job. He's been taken to a hospital. I don't care about his room. And she's going to walk to Corey's door, and as she puts her hand on the doorknob, she is searching, I guess. I don't want to say that, like, she's not looking for like a psychic link. She's looking for like more of like a sense of what may have happened if something has happened up here. Before she turns the knob and opens the door.
Do you trust me to take you on an interesting ride?
Go for it.
Cool. Please make a rouse check for your hunger.
Okay.
Wait, oh, your hunger should, as a result of the feeding you were doing, be probably down at 1. Yeah,
Okay.
it was bad last time, but you did do a lot of feeding recently.
But this, why did I use this dice? I can't see 7. Jesus.
7's good. All
Yeah.
right, so you're back to 1 hunger, and you remain at 1 hunger as you hear the voices commanding you to be a little bit more assertive, but you're doing things the way you need to. You're already following a directive that you're interested in. And the reason that I asked you to do this is you're trying to get a good sense, not psychically of his presence or his whereabouts, but just what happened. And as a result, you're doing something Flynn would probably be interested in learning how to do if they don't know how to do it already. For you see, you fall slightly into the future using a premonition, your premonitory abilities as a Malkavian who's chosen to follow that path of teaching. And as you take those steps forward mentally into possible futures, you turn around and you take a brief step back. This is probably something that Cassandra has done before, but not even but. As a result of that, you know that it's not a perfect means of gauging the past, but it is a good means by which you can seek insights about things that might have happened without your being present for them. And nothing makes trying to intone things from the past easier than being in the space in which you're trying to see. Nevertheless, you have many centuries of history to rely upon. So as you walk mentally back down the stairs, feeling totally fine, no need for help, you are back in your element. You traverse down steps at perhaps like a Venetian palazzo that are very similar to the bookstore that you perhaps trod upon in one of your previous lives. You get down to the landing that separates the bookstore from the living spaces, and instead you see what's undoubtedly from a Southeast Asian company or country that you would have visited previously, with yet again a similar building structure. And as you slide the paper door to the side to enter the space, you move into what this building probably would have looked like and been structured to be like prior to it becoming the Oracle's Quill, give or take another 10 years. Well, I guess it would have to be give another 10 years or so in the direction. And despite it being familiar surroundings with entirely different innards, where the counter would be, where Corey usually would be if he was not doing shelving or some other task, his spiritual resonance is standing there. And you're watching it, then you kind of look around knowing that you're somewhat in command of the scene that's happening at the moment, and you're keeping an eye on the door looking for activity, and an interesting occurrence. You actually watch a little bit of a cut appear in the air in the center of the store, and 3 individuals walk out of it, with a 4th sort of floating through the cut in the air and gliding down to the floor and sort of standing centered in this space. It almost seems as though they're moving and Corey is not able to do so, because that is precisely the case upon their entry. And you see 2 of the individuals who walked through the rift immediately wander over to Corey and begin inspecting him head to toe. And one of them pulls a hypodermic needle and slips it into his neck. And when you follow that motion, your teeth probably show ever so slightly as the corners of your lip come up, and then you focus your attention back on the other 2. Okay, so they've done something to Corey. We'll have to figure out if he's dead or not once we get a better sense of what they might have done afterwards. But what are the others up to? Sure enough, you see another individual heading towards the downstairs of the space. And the one that sort of hovered into the room is off the floor again, trying to get a better sense of the entirety of the bookstore. They're focusing on certain points than others. And as one of the individuals comes back inside from having taken Corey out, you see that he half transforms and then fully transforms into this sort of guru shape and begins just swiping at the bookcases and shoving things over, not looking for anything at all. But that hasn't stopped the floating individual in the air from doing their search of the space. And it almost appears as though in areas that they've already taken a look at, whether they haven't actually physically interacted at all. They're just looking around. But wherever this individual has moved on from is where that guru focuses. And as that individual moves towards the downstairs to follow behind the other one who had gone down already, they stop for a moment and then they turn around and they make eye contact with you. And as you find yourself back upstairs again, I would like you to take 1 point of aggravated willpower damage, as all the way from the past, a being of power noticed your incursion into his reality. And so what you'll do is, as opposed to just checking off a willpower, let's have you put an X through one of your willpower dots.
Good.
Thank you. And it should go without saying that this was a different type of vision that you're used to. And the reason for which a condition called Cassandra's tears becomes readily evident as you find that there is blood streaking down your eyes. For dramatic purposes, let's step away from that for a brief moment. Flynn.
Poor Ben.
Flynn, back downstairs in the bookstore where something interesting transpired sometime in the last hour that you're not even fully privy to just yet. You have a communique from the voice I don't want to repeat again because that actually hurt my throat a little bit, indicating that they're pretty sure they got all of it. And it is only about 50 to 60 pages long. It's by no means a tome. Because I think I said earlier that it was more journal adjacent than anything else. And as you were going through the pages and taking things in, it switches between common use, like language that Flynn would know. I don't just want to say English in case you imagine Flynn would know other languages, but it occasionally flits between like sensible, you would know it from what you've learned, and then like uses of the language that would be lesser known to you, even if it is English. So you're not able to fully make sense of things, especially since you're only lingering on passages for a few moments here and there. But it's very clear that these are the musings on, I don't know, like prolonging life, which, if you know anything about mages, you do know that despite having magic, they're not immortal. So this, it seems like there's something to do here with prolonging life. And now, as you contemplate that, I would like Flynn to make a larceny and, let's say, composure check. And the purpose of this check in particular is to see how well you can move this this journal back into the space where you found it without drawing attention to yourself and leaving the hidden drawer, hidden cabinet, whatever you want to call it, back in the same sort of position that you had originally found it.
This is really funny. I rolled 2 dice for this, you guys. That's all I've got.
And the difficulty is only 4. So let's see a crit.
Nope. That is 110 and a 4.
That is 110 and a 4. Does this matter enough to you to spend a willpower? Does this matter enough for you to rouse your blood to see if you can boost your ability, aka a blood surge? By the way, I haven't given you the results yet. You can say no. I don't think the building will burn down.
I don't think Flynn cares enough about how Cassandra sees him to care if she actually ends up yelling at him about this. He's just like, I'm gonna put it back where I found it, so I'm not like stealing it.
I think the easiest way to resolve this, because you're actually the only person on the ground floor of the Oracle and Quill, or the Oracle's Quill, is that you maintain total composure. You place it back where it belongs. You're pushing the hidden like entry point back into where it belongs. And that curio cabinet having taken damage, that hidden space breaks. And it is exceptionally obvious that it sort of like breaks inward, outward, and knocks a thing that shouldn't be on a high up structure anyways, hits the ground, and also breaks. And that makes a sound. So it's difficult to say, yes, this cabinet is exactly how it looked to an undead being who might remember that and wasn't distracted.
I think legitimately Flynn is just like, well, and we'll go find a place to sit down and we'll start jotting down what he remembers from the journal in his notepad because he couldn't be bothered.
Fantabulous. As you find that quiet place, do you mind if we move back out to the streets of Portland for a moment and see what Wilco's doing? Perfect. Wilco, you have chosen chaos.
Of course I have.
Because
But yes.
far down the street, somebody's edgelording, real edgelordy, and as a result, you begin sprinting at them. I imagine weapons horror movie style with your arms out to them. I'm kidding, no. But sure enough, you're making your way down the street, and this individual probably watches this take place for a 2 count, a 3 count, and then once it's clear that you're heading in their direction, they sure enough and begin running as well, and they're moving heartily away from you.
Which is faster, Lupus or Kronos?
I would actually argue that it would be Lupus or Hispo, because Krynos would potentially be too mad to think about moving efficiently, despite its ability to hop down on all fours. But I also think due to its more humanoid shape, it wouldn't be as efficient on all fours as
Right.
Lupus or Hispo. Hispo would probably be fastest.
I'm going Hispo then, because I'm going to catch this person, Mr. Edgelordy McDouche person.
Fantastic.
I think that's a rage check too.
That is because you've just shifted into your non-lupus form. So please make that rage check.
This is a bad idea. I made it. I got a 9.
You got a 9. Cool. You are not at 5 rage. Congratulations. And you go barreling down the street. You get to the next intersection, and it's very obvious that they turn to the left. And you're moving fast enough that where they were previously, probably a good 150 to 200 feet away from you, having reached this corner and looking in that direction, you see that they are now only probably like 50 to 60 feet away. And they're heading down an alley. You're in the southeast, sort of like the southeast portion of Portland, and it's a lot more residential. And where there are businesses, they're like in small clumps amid the residences. So this alleyway is going between like houses on one side and residential structures on the other. So it's a decent place to not be seen in your Hispo form. Yeah, I'm just describing the scene.
I'm just going to keep going.
Cool. Wilco, as you arrive at the mouth of this alley and turn inward, I'm going to have you make a composure and survival check.
Okay. That'll composure and survival. That's
your difficulty is 7.
Crying is a free action, correct?
Always.
Okay. Well, I mean, if I willpower, that would add 3 dice, or I would re-roll.
It would re-roll, but what was your pool when you combined your composure and your survival?
3.
Only 3. Now, all of those would have been rage dice. And unfortunately, when you spend willpower, you cannot re-roll rage dice.
Okay.
Okay. Now.
So, I mean, I don't think, I'm not trying to be like, oh, woe is me. I just don't think there's actually a physical way for me to actually pass this.
There is not. That is correct.
So, okay.
Lights, a mixture of strobe and infrared lights turn on and sort of like a laser grid pattern in such a fashion that it genuinely catches your vision off guard, Hispo or otherwise. And as an Arun with 4 rage barreling forward at speed at the mouth of the alley, unfortunately, you don't have the wherewithal to stop as the lights hit your eyes and take stock of the situation. And you begin running along a bed of razor wire that your feet immediately tell you is made of silver. And unfortunately, and structured in such a fashion that as you run atop it, it begins to catch up around you. You immediately take 2 points of aggravated damage as multiple barbs of silver begin piercing into you. And as it wraps around you as a result of your continued struggle forward, it digs deep, causing those 2 points. And we're going to break very briefly from that scene as we head back. Down in the basement, Roz. Haven't really made any headway just yet on any other points of investigation, but that doesn't mean there's not more details for you and Luca to potentially find down here. However, very quickly, you receive 2 text messages. One is not from the group thread you were messaging into just a couple of moments ago. As a matter of fact, it comes from, it says PTR. And that's your fancy way of saving in your phone in case other people are looking over your shoulder to make note of Prince Thera Rosemary. And
Yes.
and Thera communicates to you. She just says, any updates on the missing package?
Mhm.
And if you need a reminder
Awful
as to what I mean, I don't mind saying in front
I
of the
know.
group.
I
Yeah.
know what you mean.
Okay.
Awful timing, really. No new updates. Caught up with some difficulties.
And as you send that off, you get the 3 dots, and she must be using celerity because they only last about 2/10 of a second, 1/5, if you will. And the response that you receive back, Thera says, I have one other person working on this. Please let me know if other persons who are less engaged need to be brought in. Cannot stress the importance of this matter enough.
She really fights against typing in. This matter might be resolved faster if I had more information. But instead, she leaves it as is. If I find anything, you'll be the first to know within a moment's notice.
And moving away from that thread, because then you see a notification come in on the Delirium chat. Very quickly, you know how you can add like fun photos to a group chat? Is there anything
Yep.
fun that tells you it's the Delirium chat?
Oh, that's a great question. It's probably like, you know, those really blurry mirror selfies you take when you're sort of wasted and everyone's crammed into the club bathroom. It's one of those.
Phenomenal. Opening up the mirror selfie chat. It's a message from Marionette responding to the emojis you sent with reference to how hungry and tired you are. And Marionette is saying, why haven't you been picking up? Big Z is missing. And
Does it look like I have
unfortunately,
my
for
stuff?
dramatical purposes, I'm gonna go back upstairs. I'm sorry, Roz. When you split the
No,
party, it gives me the
Emily.
chance to do this. Back upstairs, Cassandra, you're wiping away blood from your cheeks, and James, Ben is right there, still in hispo form, unable to verbally communicate, but you can tell there's a certain degree of distress. The two of you, however, are still outside Corey's room. But of course, the mission you have up here, in addition to potentially seeking additional information, is to get something that would be a strong scent marker to track him. And before you guys start talking, we have a weird sound happening again.
Yeah, that's what I was listening to. Sorry, I got focused on that.
Yep, it's gone now.
Okay, cool.
Inlet. Okay, so 3, 2.
Cassandra, having come out of the prophecy, whatever that was, she doesn't say anything to Ben specifically, but I think he could tell something happened, but she doesn't elaborate at all. She just keeps it to herself and proceeds to open the door and walk in. Now, normally she has been up here before, but always when Corey's not around. She's been in here, just kind of like wandering around his space, and taking in his space when he's not around.
Ben very gently, kind of in a large wolf form, kind of moves around Cassandra and just nose to everything, trying to pick up something that smells off, or better yet, something that smells heavy. Until you point him in a direction. Otherwise, he's just trying to gather what's here.
So I think the space is a relatively decent space. It's a 1-bedroom, living room, dining room, kitchen. It's not like massively big like her place, but it's decent for what it is. And she walks over. She knows the space well, so she walks over to Corey's bedroom first, fully aware that she knows where things should be, because her hyper focus on things. So she knows where things should be, and she knows if something is out of place. So she walks to his bedroom and opens the door and walks into the bedroom, and kind of gestures for Ben to go ahead and.
Yeah. So, and we see that, I mean, even for a non-known person, this doesn't look like this is where there was an attack, correct?
That is absolutely correct. It looks like
Okay.
nothing happened up here.
Okay. So yeah, he's going to look for clothes, pillowcase, something that has a heavy scent to it.
And in your Hispo form, especially, you're seeing scent markers of all kinds. So what you're trying to determine here, more than anything else, is which one would be best, which is exactly what you verbalized. I just wanted to make it clear. Big wolf, see match scent. And as a result, I'm going to have you please give me a wits and survival check, because survival will, of course, be the means by which you attempt to track should that come up. And your difficulty here, because there could be 5 things in here that work well. We're going to defer to my standard difficulty of 5 for the quote unquote best, if that makes sense.
Okay. So I'm at 3 rage, additional 4 pool. There we go. There's something I needed today. Exactly 5.
That'll do, Pig. What you find in particular is, it's actually what appears to be a college hoodie. And Cassandra, if she were to fill you in on this, would be able to communicate to you that no, he is not a USC graduate.
Or student.
Would nevertheless have potential additional insights on the notion that he has a Trojans. Or Trojans is USC, right? Am I making that up? Here. USC. Yeah, Trojans.
For
Cool.
yeah.
You're asking a bunch of nerds if we know the mascot for a
And
sports
hear me
ball
out.
team?
The only reason I know that is my best friend from high school went to UCLA. Their biggest rivals were USC. He was a sports baby, and yes, that is the Trojans. So
All right.
I know very few sports, but it makes sense that at some point, whether before moving to Portland or after, the thing that he appears to wear, or at least have a deep emotional connection attached to the scent with, is this USC Trojans emblazoned hooded sweatshirt.
Cassandra sees it and instantly gets annoyed by it. She's annoyed by the sweatshirt. She's annoyed by the word Trojan. She's annoyed by the US, that it's a USC sweatshirt that he shouldn't have, because she's had this discussion with him before. Everything about the sweatshirt annoys her and kind of like ranks up her anger a little bit.
Would you attempt to take it away from Ben as a result, or do you still at least trust that Ben must be indicating it for good reason?
No, she wouldn't take it away from Ben, but she would just definitely not be happy to see it. She's not happy to see that at all.
Now, I'm the kind of dungeon master in D&D where if I tell my players, yeah, there's nothing else of interest here, and my players go, I still want to look. And if they roll a natural 20, I'll make some shit up to help. And this is obviously a different game. So when I tell you, because it doesn't look as though there was a conflict in this space, and you had a premonition or at least a prophetical vision backwards that indicates Corey had gone down and everything that went down happened downstairs. It seems like there might not be anything else you'd need up here unless there's any other searches you want to attempt.
So I think Cassandra, being as the vision happened when she touched the doorknob, is sensing that whatever dimension thing happened, that maybe she wants to see if she could like get more from being in his space. Like, so maybe like sense the unseen. I don't know, maybe sense the unseen she might do, just to see what would happen.
And to be totally clear, we still haven't told Ben about the things that you've seen.
Nope, he have not told him at all.
Ben, Cassandra indicates that it's time to go downstairs. Are you going down as well?
Yep.
Cool. Cassandra, is there like a comfy reading nook corner anywhere in the bookstore?
Oh, there's several.
Excellent.
There's several.
What can you briefly and very briefly, just a few descriptors? Can you give me a brief description of the one that would be the least visible to most of the bookstore?
That would be in the back, just past where she normally sits on her throne-like chair, off to maybe the left, behind like a little crook. It has a table there. There's chairs, two chairs. Two people could sit there at most, not
Mhm.
more than that. Otherwise, they would all be jutting out into the space. But it's sort of like a study nook. It's not completely closed off, but you can't see it from the store if you're looking directly in the back.
Flynn, that sounds like a great spot to be hiding, doesn't it? Yep. Okay, perfect. You feel free to use nonverbals because that's what somebody who's diligently attempting to take notes would do. Are you back there writing notes still, or have you moved on to anything else? Excellent. Okay. Decidedly moving over Wilco for just a brief moment, back down to the basement. Roz, you've received this distressing text message, but you still have a job to do. What are you and Luca doing?
Do we hear the footsteps upstairs? There's a
The big pads have definitely descended again, yes.
Rose is holding her phone so tight, one might think the screen might crack at any given moment. But then there's a flash of realization in her eyes. And immediately afterwards, she almost like swats at Luca to get his attention and bolts upright. She's looking for Flynn specifically when she's upstairs. And when she finds them, she's going to, propriety, upper window, grab your arm, look you dead in the eye and say, once is happenstance, twice is a coincidence, a third time is enemy action. And she will look to the others in the room and say, there have been 2 more people abducted, meaningful to Kindred. I don't think we can say this was just a coincidence.
And I will go ahead and state, it sounds like Roz was leaving a door open for Luca to follow and going back upstairs. Flynn is down, Cassandra has come down, and Cassandra, in the midst of you attempting to embody the space, both physically and mentally, trying to get a greater sense of whoever or whatever that was that invaded here just hours, if not an hour ago, with Ben alongside you, you're all in the room again for Roz's speech. Everybody besides Wilco, who, as Roz was just describing, many people are being taken and or disappearing. I'm assuming we'll get Luca back in just a moment. But as you all consider how you might be feeling based on Roz's words, it's also worth mentioning that everyone is present besides Wilco.
which is what Ben was going to notice just that moment, because it's like, as you mentioned that, Ben kind of glances around.
And this seems like a good opportunity because the only person, if you did verbalize concern over that, would be Luca. And Luca is unfortunately off camera at the moment with some internet issues, it seems. So instead, we'll do what you've all gathered I really like doing and dramatically cut back to the alley. Now, a block and a half away, Wilco, you're on the ground, wrapped in razor wire, clearly made of silver based on how it's feeling about you.
Yeah.
I don't know if you ever saw the Saw films.
Yeah, I did.
There, I can't recall specifically which sequel it was, but it was John, the primary antagonist to the Saw franchise, experimenting with his torture methods, and he's able to trick someone into falling into a casket filled with barbed wire, or razor wire specifically. And if you can picture in your mind the means by which the panicked thrashing causes one to become more deeply wrapped up in the briars of metal razor wire, that is regrettably the state in which Wilco has found themselves. As you continue thrashing on the ground, you take an additional point of aggravated silver damage,
Okay.
and kind of finding its way through that cacophony of painful input. You're also feeling stun prods, 2, 3, 4, now 7 cattle prod style stunners are attempting to subdue you as you thrash in the silver, and you're hearing numerous voices attempting not to shout, but very methodically whisper to each other, "Over there, get it closer to the neck, over there." There are many people who appear to know what it is they've caught, especially by way of the silver razor wire, seeking now to subdue you. If you'd like, I would love to give you an opportunity to thrash your way out, which would either be dexterity to be a little bit more cunning, or more realistically, strength and brawl, unless you have another plan.
Am I able to, because especially if I know this is silver, I'm fucked if I get cut anymore. Can I go back to Lupus?
You can absolutely shift either to Hamid or Lupus, neither of which have the silver problem.
Right.
And I don't know if this would change anything about you being awake or not. When I said 1 additional aggravated damage a moment ago, that was supposed to be 2. So you should be at 4,
Oh.
but I want you to be conscious. How much health do you have?
I have 1 left.
Let's keep you upright. In that brief moment, you know that if you were to shift to either your human or wolf form, just basic wolf, not the big one, that would at
Yeah.
least remove the silver of it all.
Right.
Do you want to do that?
Yes. And I think I'd want to go to Lupus because I'd be able to run faster on 4 legs.
Excellent. So you shift, and I'll go ahead and state that in the act of shifting down, you would take additional stun prods, which you see I'm not rolling dice for. But on your way from Hispo to Lupus, you take a few more jabs from the stun prod. You
Yeah.
get down to a smaller form, not as wrapped in the razor wire.
Yeah.
In the act of attempting to break out, you will take 1 superficial damage unless you critically succeed on, let's give you, again, either strength or dexterity. And I'm going to be nice and say either athletics or brawl. Go ahead and make that pool for me. And to successfully escape being wrapped in razor wire, I'm not going to lie, we're dealing with my standard favorite difficulty of 5. And if
Okay.
you'd like to get away scot-free, you must critically succeed.
Okay. And I have 4 rage right now. Still.
Big time.
Big time. Okay.
Mhm.
And those are the ones that cannot be rerolled.
That is correct.
Okay. That's not the worst. It's not my favorite, but it's not the worst. And then we'll no, go back. Fuck. That's gone. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm sorry, you said 7?
5 difficulty.
Okay.
5 to get out, critical to get out without taking another point of superficial damage, in which you'd still be upright, but you'd be very critically wounded.
Very, very hurt. I got 7.
7,
Yeah,
but not crit.
no crit.
No crit. That's fine. You were able to wrestle your way free of the wire.
Yeah.
And do you want to continue down the direction of the alley that you'd been in if you're running, or do you want to turn around and go back the other way?
I think at this point, I'm still angry, but we're getting lower on Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and
Yep.
I just want to live. So I will probably run opposite direction to where I came from.
Now, the stun prods couldn't do a single thing to you when you were in your Hispo form.
Yeah.
But as you wrestle free, you do take that single point of superficial damage. You are now free of the wire.
Okay.
You're going to roll 1 die.
Okay.
It's going to be that value plus 1. Individuals are going to attempt to subdue you with stud prods.
Okay.
No more than 7 total.
Okay.
No less than 2. Mhm.
This is nerve-wracking.
Now I'm going to make 4 attacks. And
Okay.
as you are attempting to flee, I would like you to make a dexterity and athletics or a composure and athletics. I'm giving you an opportunity, hoping to capitalize on which stat you might have higher.
Right.
And the difficulty will be measured by my attacks.
Okay.
So you're going to make a dodge, and it seems like if even one of these hits, you're going to get knocked out.
Okay. But
Yes.
not dead, just not conscious. That's the important part.
That's the use of the stun prod.
Right. Okay.
All right. Now, before you say the result of your roll, I rolled a 3,
Yeah.
a 5,
Yeah.
a 4,
Uh-huh.
and a 6.
Okay. So that'd be 2.
Okay. As a result of that,
that's 2 you would have hit,
yeah,
correct?
I had a feeling that's what you meant. What was your die roll?
I rolled like 4.
Okay. So two of them are able, and if it was a stun prod with a knife at the end, they would do more than just knock you out.
Right.
But they're just stun prods, and as a result of that, they do the superficial damage necessary to knock you into a stuporous state. And walking over as your eyes go a little bit hazy, you're able to finally make out the details of a young woman. And this young woman, you would probably clock in her early to mid 20s.
Okay.
She has middle length, like reddish brown hair tied behind her head.
Okay.
And as she leans down and hunches over you in your lupus form, you notice that there's a big revolver in her hand, but her, no finger on the trigger. It's just there. And she kind of looks you over, and you're seeing as you look back at her quite a few scars going from her neck up to her chin. There's a few on the side of the head, nothing like obviously marring the face like you'd see on a lot of stereotypical characters like this one, but she's definitely been in a couple of fights. And she
Oh
goes,
shit, is this a fucking hunter?
and she
Okay.
says, "Glad to see we found another live one." And she stands up and gives a firm enough kick to your head that it will give you your final thoughts here, but you are about to be knocked unconscious. What were you about to say?
All I wanted to do was make as much loud, distinct noise that will hopefully travel the however fuck long it needs to be for someone to hear it. Hopefully back at the shop.
Let's make this interesting.
Okay.
Roll 1 die.
Oh my
Just
god.
1. Yep. And I'll do the same.
What'd you roll?
A 2.
I rolled a 9.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So as she stands up and she raises her foot,
Yeah.
you're intelligent. You have a pretty good guess as to what's coming. You are able to, which I would do much louder if it weren't for the fact that two dogs are probably maintaining their composure very well behind me in the house. But
Yep.
as you make and you could scrabble against the ground, you can do any other number of things, but the only sound that'll travel is a howl to
Yeah.
Gaia itself. Howl you do, and I did state you're only about a block and a half or so away. You don't have to be Guru to have heard that. Every being in the bookstore, which we're going to go back to here in just a moment, hears a long wail that is cut off, as Wilco is unfortunately knocked unconscious with a firm stomp to the head. The good news being, even in Lupus form, you are still Guru, and that's not sufficient to crush your skull. But as your consciousness falls away from you, the rest of the group back in the bookstore for just a brief moment, Roz has confronted you with the notion that, yeah, these previous nights, there have obviously been these attacks between our people, but quite a few significant Guru and kindred all seem to have people that matter to them. Just kindred so far that we've come to in the story, actually, now that I just did a rough count, who've had significant individuals rot from them. And is there any interaction with what Roz has to say before we skip forward a moment and we hear that wail into the night?
I mean, Flynn would very simply just ask, like, go into journalist investigator mode, be like, what are their names? Where were they last seen? What activities were they into recently? Who were the people they made contact with? Like, basic interview questions, but that would be it. But that can be done later.
I would imagine that you're probably reading these off and most likely looking towards Cassandra, because Cassandra's the person in the room who, at least with reference to what's been verbalized, is the most obvious victim to a kidnapping so far. Ra's not yet having voiced that somebody they know might be missing yet as well. But also looking around the room, does anybody have any other final, like, okay, now what moments before you respond to Wilco's call for aid?
I think Luco also points out the fact that him and Roz were attacked by hunters prior to coming here. And the possibility an organized attack is being planned by hunters. They attacked me and Roz long before we came here.
They weren't all human either. One of them had the pointed ears and very sharp features. That's not usual.
It's also worth noting that Roz, if you wanted to share this with the group, you can do so simply by way of my explanation right now. With Sense the Unseen active and having cowed that individual who was with you on the off ramp away from whatever it is they were trying, while succeeding in compelling them to do something, that it was clear where two people were previously, there was only one. And once that person was running off to do your bidding, they were no longer holding a submachine gun, and they had other implements that seemed more specifically directed towards kindred.
They had a needle and a stake.
And I suppose as you contemplate that, unless you have a final thought, is when you'd hear the howl. And as that howl reaches out to all of you and potentially other helpful allies beyond and is swiftly cut off, I think that's where we'll end this chapter. I want to thank you all for being with us this evening. I'm having an incredible time with this story, and it's great to have people watching it alongside us. I'd love for everybody to have an opportunity to tell the audience who they are and where they can be found once again. And I'll start since I'm speaking. Hi, everybody. I've been your storyteller this evening, and I plan to be for at least 3 more chapters. My name is Sam. You can find me most places online as @DungeonSamster, and I play all the bad guys. I will popcorn to other Sam.
Hi, I am Classic Sam NYGM, Classic Sam NYGM on all social media platforms. You can find me mostly here on Twitch at my channel, Classic Sam NYGM, where I interview amazing content creators, not only in the TTRPG and AP space, but also in comic books, authors, actors, and everyone in between who are big honking nerds. That being said, I'm going to popcorn over to Tarzan.
I am Daddy Tarzan 82855 on all social media platforms. One of the founders of 2B Dice Adventures, and I'm a D&D enthusiast. You can find me there along with my friends. So, yeah. Let's go with Wilco.
Hi, my name is Sarah Babe. Make sure to have your safe search on if you try to Google my name. You can find some of my work. Yeah, it's weird. You can find some of my work on encounterproject.com, where we have 3 seasons of the Legacy podcast and also the television show that is on the Dungeons and Dragons television adventure show. That it's on the Dungeons and Dragons TV thing. Also, you can find me under Theater of the Mind Players on YouTube, and I do a whole bunch of other podcasts as well. So. Thanks. And I will go to Ben.
So I am Ben, otherwise known as Tabletop Misfits, and it is my honor to put this production on with Sam and the rest of the cast here. It's kind of weird for me to say you can find me at Tabletop Misfits since it's where we're playing, but you can find us anywhere at Tabletop Misfits. Just look for the Blue Wizard, and we will pipe that over to Dia.
Hey guys, again, I'm Dia, also known as Diabel.cols on all social media. For TTRPGs, you can find me over on the 2B Dice channel, as well as Call the Wolfman's Call of the Q and Dragon Age D&D project that's currently ongoing. We are currently in between seasons, but we have our second season planned, and I'm very excited. I will also be joining the Record of the Realms crew as Rhea, who is going to be a human blood hunter joining in with the Darkness Arc campaign. I will be popping in. This will be posted next week. Also same session next week, and intermittently as scheduling allows going forward, so it's very exciting. Again, I played Roz, our lovely Toreador, leading lady of the rock band Delirium. We will see more of her.
I'm not gonna wait. Yeah, I'm not gonna wait for you to popcorn. It's just me left. I am KJ. I've played Flynn tonight. You can find me at various forms of KJ cosplay on the interwebs. Just look for my face because that's how you can tell. I do all kinds of nerdy things, TTRPG things. I haven't streamed on my personal channel on Twitch in a hot minute, but I'm hoping to get back to it once I finish doing a costume. That'll be done hopefully in this next week, which I was making the mask for as we were playing today. And other than that, I'm on the Of Lichen and Moss channel on Twitch and YouTube, the campaign of Brass and Briar, where I play a acrobatic ferret. He's traumatized. It's fine. And then on 2B Dice Adventures, the campaign Dimensional Dial of Dr. Diago, where I play 2 in 1. It's a great combo. I love them.
Sensing a theme there, actually. And thank you all for being here. Sarah, I want to say so many thanks for you filling in for us this evening. It was so fun to meet Wilco, and I'm glad she didn't die tonight so that we can see her again. Yes. And for everybody, we'll post in the chat as this is streaming all of our wonderful sponsors that we work with. But as a quick reminder, as of the time of this streaming, there's a few days left in Renegade Game Studios' Month of Darkness sale, which applies to most all of the offerings from the World of Darkness games, Hunt of the Reckoning, Vampire the Masquerade, and Werewolf the Apocalypse. If you use the affiliate link that we have with them, with our wonderful partnership with Renegade Game Studios, not only will you be gaining access to wonderful games, but you'll be helping out the Tabletop Misfits community directly. We will be back in 2 weeks for Chapter 4 with many of the faces that you see here. But on Tabletop Misfits, you can also find our 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons game, Dress to Quest, every other Monday night. Our weekly, except for some when some breaks come up, Tavern Docs Talk Show on Wednesday evenings. Our great friend Beaker runs Beaker's Garage, wherein he paints and builds a variety of models and other crafts on Thursday evenings. And on the other Sunday, besides when we stream, there's also his show, Guardians of the Grid, with the Power Rangers RPG. We have a lot going on that we're excited about in the future. Any last notes, James?
No, because sadly, this won't air until after our trip to Mysticon. But if you're out there, hoping to see you, or we hope we've met you. And
We
that
hope
you're
we saw you.
We hope we saw you, and we hope you're part of the community at this point, and that you're enjoying the amazing stories that our game masters here at Tabletop Misfits are putting on, and our amazing players that we've had the luxury of having. So, close us out, Sam.
That's it. See you next time.